It feels weird. It is always weird. I'll get it. Hold that thought. I got to do the fucking intro first. I just want to start talking immediately. We got to do the formalities of walking through the gate before we can actually do the thing.
Always that.
Yeah. We got to actually introduce the people to the thing that they saw the intro, they saw the title, they saw the thumbnail, they saw everything else, but we still got to tell them what they're watching.
What am I watching?
We are watching this. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Following the Plot podcast, episode 9. My name is VivianJadeMo, the trained unprofessional, and today on this very infrequently updated podcast, I am joined by many of your favorite visual novel creators, narrators, voice actors, many of synonyms abound. They are very accustomed to introducing themselves, and as my memory will attest, if they all try to do it without any provocation or order, it will be a fucking shit show. So, let us start alphabetically. Let's go with that. Alphabetically according to their Discord names. Give us your intros. Give us your intros. I want to hear them. The people, they want to hear you say that. Give us your intros now.
Let's prepare. Hi, folks. I'm Dirk the Red Panda. I stream on Twitch and YouTube. I mostly stream visual novels and the occasional open-ended video game. And I write my own visual novel, too. Ocean Avenue.
Gotta get the plugs in.
Yeah, maybe.
Hello, everyone. It is me, your lovely, beautiful host. Well, not the host today. Usually, your usual host, Fallenwolf. Today, I am a furry YouTuber / visual novel reader on YouTube. I do Twitch once in a while, and I am delighted to be here, surrounded by fellow content creators.
Whoa. My name is Marshmallow Bears. I'm a variety streamer on Twitch. I stream visual novels from time to time as a special event. And I'm not here just representing myself, but also my lovely cast that helps me read visual novels when I'm on Twitch. So, hello, everybody.
And last but certainly not least...
Hello, everyone. I'm Blaidd Llwyd. I also do videos on YouTube, mainly visual novels, occasionally the other game, something like that, and some short stories. And it's quite odd to be on a call with this many people recording something. And normally I do everything, so I'll try to keep quiet when people are talking, I promise.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I almost just started yammering about, is that we're all people who are accustomed to being the one talking about a given thing. Even there was a moment while we were doing a visual novel on the furry VN channel on Discord the other day, where Mel was doing it on their screen and I was doing some voice, and I instinctively went to press my space bar.
Oh, yes. Oh, that feeling.
For people just in case that might be a little confused, Vivian is she is referring to me. In some servers I go by Mel because my first name's Melissa, so just in case things get confusing, guys, I promise you it's not some ghost, it's not some split personality of mine. That's just what I go by that name in certain servers. So.
Oh yes, as if we all don't have problems with the multiple names situation. And Blaidd, you also you're North Grizz on Twitter. You're Blaidd Llwyd on YouTube. I've heard you allude to there's a situation with that I've always been curious about that. Are you willing to go into that, or what is going on there?
It's not very interesting, really. Basically, when I started up the YouTube account, not the channel, just, okay, what can I call it? Something Welsh. Blaidd Drwg, Doctor Who reference was taken. Okay, Blaidd Llwyd, that works for me for a couple of reasons. That's good. But then didn't use it for anything. I wasn't doing the channel at the time. Then I signed up to a Discord and then Twitter, also to follow one particular game I was involved in, and my username for that game on the website was North Grizz. So I just kept that. And then I realized that this was going to get confusing when I started doing the videos. And by that point, it's kind of too late to change anything because I confused myself. So there we go. That's the whole boring reason they're different.
Hey, man, it makes sense. I've kind of been there myself. I recently went through a name change on my social medias. It used to be deckerlink, as a lot of people used to know, and I recently changed it to be VivianJade to match my legal name change. And it still confuses a lot of people, and I don't think it ever will not be. I don't think it'll ever not be confusing to a lot of people. I'm also I'm also curious about where the names of everyone else's names came from. Marshmallow Bears. That is adorable, and I love it.
So mine came from. I used to go by Marshmallow Boy because a old friend called me Marshmallow Boy because I was chubby.
Aw.
And then I started doing art, and I'm like, I draw bears a lot, Marshmallow Bears. And then I just started doing VTubing, and so I named my persona Marsh. And it just all fell from there.
Makes sense. You've got a long history of adorable avatars, VTubers, art, and all that other stuff to follow with the theme. So it's just been a long stream of adorableness to go along with it. It's all very thematic with the adorableness. Now, where does Dirk the Red Panda come in?
Oh no. This is a not long story, but I don't know if I'm embarrassed about how the name Dirk came from it. If anybody's been in America and like around the early 2010s, late 2000s, there was a really good basketball player named Dirk Nowitzki, and because he was so good, like he would have like shirts everywhere that said Dirk never stops. And of course, like middle school, early high school me wanted one of those shirts. I got it and I just wore that thing nonstop. And so when I started playing volleyball and stuff in high school, everybody would see me wear it like all the time, and they just call me Dirk because of it. They'd be like, "Yeah, it's Dirk. Dirk never stops." And so
Aw,
that's how I got the Dirk part. So it eventually
that's
just stuck to
nice.
me. Thanks. And the Red Panda part just came in when I was figuring out a persona. Actually, Red Panda was not my persona or first persona. It is now. But the first persona I had was just a gray wolf. I just went for the basic old
Oh,
gray
yeah.
wolf. Gotta be that. Sorry, no offense, Blaidd.
And then taken.
Hey, it was me too. Me too. I was there too.
Yeah, we all figure out our different things and phases, and so that was my first one. And then, like a year or so later, I was like experimenting with maybe I'm not a wolf, and then I just chose Red Panda out of a few other mix hit and misses, and yeah, Dirk the Red Panda stuck. And when I created the YouTube channel, it just was there, and so I was like, I guess I can't change now that people know me as Dirk the Red Panda. gotta be Gotta be the brand now.
Yeah, you gotta follow the brand name. Isn't that weird when one day you wake up and realize you're a fucking brand? This is uncomfortable for
God.
anyone else. Oh, is
It
that
was weird the first time where
Jeez.
people were like, "Oh, there's somebody that called me the Master Story Entertainer." I wish I had their name. I'd have to look it up afterwards, but yeah, they would just say like, "Oh, hi, Master Story Entertainer." When I would go on my live streams, it'd be like just a recurring thing. I'm like, I'm a story entertainer now. I never saw myself as like, yeah, voice acting. I started out just kind of narrating some novels I liked, kind of followed Vivian's steps in that. I was like, I want to do that too. So yeah, I'm kind of with my inspiration here. They say
Aw.
to never meet your never meet your role models or something like that. But nah, I mean you're really nice.
Aw.
So I
Well,
can't
thank
say
you.
that about you.
Huh.
But
Well, thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, guess that was the avenue, I should say, I got into this. So yeah, from there I just kind of just flew off and just tried a bunch of different things.
Cool. How does Full Nut Wolf come out of Fallenwolf?
Oh my gosh. So I made my Twitter pretty late. So the reason I got full nut moon is because I consider myself as crazy. I'm wacky. So I was like, instead of full moon, I'm like, I'm just a full nut.
Ah,
So
so you're going for
that
the lunacy aspect.
yeah, yes. So that's why I got the full nut moon instead of full. And then I realized after a while I was like, yeah, this is kind of probably sexual, and I probably shouldn't use it. But now I'm like, well, I have it now, and I'm like, I don't feel like changing it. So now I'm like, let's just keep it.
Yeah. I mean, in this fandom, it doesn't take much.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, even before the fandom, like somebody was telling me, like, "Oh, Dirk, that kind of sounds like with one letter off, it sounds like this." And I
Oh.
never thought about that. I actually hadn't heard about it in the fandom for a while, or nobody in the fandom really thought of it that way for a while. So I was shocked a normie figured that out. Just someone that I went to school with. I'm like, wow, dirty
Oh
mind.
my. So that's how everyone got their names. Now, and Dirk kind of went into this, is how did everyone get their starts? Now, I don't want to take full credit. Obviously, this is kind of like an entry-level question, but when I put out the video asking for fan questions, and it will get more into all of the questions, I was kind of expecting, a few. Obviously, we got some well-known names here, for God's sake. I assembled the fucking furry visual novel Avengers, for crying out loud. But I've got fucking almost 4 pages, and this is with it culled down.
Oh my.
And it's not all just like, what's your inspiration for the whatever the fuck? There's some like some stuff I was not expecting. So for some of the ones that are like repeat, some people ask them all, I wanted to try to, as best I can, include multiple names. So to get into how you got started into it, one of the questions, obviously, what made you want to start furry visual novels? One of the people that asked that, Mike DeArgon, that's one of the people that circulates around in the comment sections. What made you want to start narrating furry visual novels? Dirk had mentioned some of their beginnings into it. Pass it down the question along the line. Fallen, let's start with you.
Oh boy. So long, long ago in a distant land. Okay, no. This is a serious stream, right?
Look at what we're doing generally and what we're doing here.
Can't ever take myself seriously. That's the secret. I don't take myself seriously.
So seriously speaking, so how I started was actually I've had my channel for like 3 years now. I think it's been 3 years. 3 years. So around that time, what was it, 2022? It was around 2018, like the end of 2018, I'd say. I had found out about visual novels, just visual novels in general, because a good friend of mine, he really found out about a series called Danganronpa. Which,
Oh.
he found out about Danganronpa, and it's like, have you ever played Danganronpa? It's really good. And I was like, no. No, I haven't. I was like, what's that? He's like, it's kind of like a visual novel. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, buddy, what the hell's a visual novel? I don't know what that is. And he like explained it, and I was like, oh, that sounds. I was like, I don't know if I want to play it. He's like, yeah, you should play it. So long story short, I played through the first game. Took me, I believe, 50 hours my first playthrough. It is a very long game. That took us 50 hours. But I played through that, and then I said, hey, these are pretty cool. These are not bad. I said, are there more visual novels out there? So after I played Danganronpa, I found out there were numerous visual novels out there. I didn't really play too many, but I found out about furry visual novels, and I was already part of the furry fandom at this point. And I think the first furry visual novel I ever played, which it was Nekojishi. And I think I found out about I found out I found out about Nekojishi. And I played Nekojishi. And I liked it for the most part. Like, again, this is my early years now. I don't, I feel a little different about it. But when I first was starting out, I kind of enjoyed it. And I said, oh, these are pretty cool. I said, oh, I like this. I said, what other ones are there? So I think I played Nekojishi. I think I'm trying to remember. I think there was another one called A Pirate's Fate.
Yes, The Pirate's Fate.
Yeah,
The Pirate's Fate. I remember that one. I played that one. And then I had heard about Morinato because everybody's like, "Oh, it's like the grandfather of like furry visual novels," and I was like, "Well, it can't hurt that I played in an I mean, it's a furry visual novel." I mean, so that was what got me started, and I enjoyed doing that kind of stuff. And ironically, the first ever series I tried to do on my channel was a visual novel, but it was not a furry one. It was Ace Attorneys.
Aye.
The Ace
Ooh.
Attorney
Phoenix
trilogy
Wright.
is yes, it was the first one. I never finished it, mainly just because 'cause they're so long.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, it's so
Oh, I
long.
bet.
And I was like, nobody's gonna wanna like, I was like, this is very long. But I played that at the time, and that's when I started like doing voices and stuff. And I was like, now I can't watch it because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to watch these old videos where I was using a headphone mic and the headset was like, a cheap headset, and I'm using the
Mhm.
mic on that, and I was like, oh my gosh. So that was like the first one, and after and like I said, when I was around that time in 20, also around that time in like the end of 2018, I had first found out about your channel. I believe it was your channel. It was your channel I saw, Ookie Cookies, and I feel like there was another one, but it might those are the only two I remember right now. But I remember it was you and Ookie Cookie. You I found out from your Neko Jishi, and I believe Echo, 'cause I think you started Echo around that time. Maybe not.
That was one of the other
Echo
big
and
ones, I
Neko
think,
Jishi.
yeah.
Ookie Cookie, I think I found out from I can't remember right now. I will remember. It was one for it was a furry visual novel, and it was also I think it was like an anime because I know he does a lot of yaoi visual novels, or used to, and I think it was one of the yaoi ones. And I think that gave me more confidence because I was like, oh, I was like, oh, like at first I was like really shy. I was like, oh man, am I gonna really make videos like this and post them on YouTube? And then, like, I saw, like, your channel, like I said, your channel, the cookies. I'm just like, "Oh, well, there's other people that do this kind of stuff, and maybe it won't be that bad." And I had a great time doing it. It was I've always enjoyed voice acting. Um, I've always had a deep love for voice acting ever since I found out about it when I was sometime back in high school, and that's pretty much where things went from there. Then I've just make videos now, and it's been, 3 years later, and I'm still making videos.
Still
We're
chugging
glad you do.
along.
Yeah, yeah, still chugging along. So
Blaidd. What made you want to narrate furry visual novels?
It was kind of an accident, really. I used to have some recordings, just audio, no video, just short stories and that kind of thing. Actually, a couple of very old videos on my channel are Endless Night and The Legend of Ghost Fang, which I just put some visuals on to go with the stories and forgot about them after that. So I had practice of this, and then it's where it gets complicated. So I hope you're all sitting comfortably.
Just
So
adjust the chair.
I'm riveted.
way back when, some of you might remember, I don't know, but there was actually talk about an anthology of short stories based on Blackgate.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's
They
all.
got in trouble for that, didn't they?
Here's something like that. Yeah, anyway, I'm also a writer of sorts, so it might be interesting to do something based on it. So I did that. Of course, nothing happened with it.
Mhm.
I thought, okay, I have this story sitting around. I've done some of my own stories I've read. I've told one on stage.
Wow.
Maybe I should record this and do like a proper Jackanory style reading. That's a reference none of you are going to get, don't worry. It's a British thing. So I just sent a message off to Bane and said, do you mind if I do this, put it on the internet, blah, blah, blah. He was fine with it. And that's all that happened. A few people listened to it, nothing else. And then somewhere along the line in the Echo Discord, whatever reason I mentioned I'd done this, and people said, oh, post it, want to hear. Okay, I did that. The next thing, people are saying, you should actually do Echo. Okay, maybe, I don't know. So I thought I'd give it a try. I'd put one video, see what happens with it, just post it in the Discord, let people know. And oddly enough, people seem to enjoy it. I thought, okay, we'll do a couple more videos. This is not going to last long. I'll get down to 0 views in maybe 3 episodes. I was a bit off on that.
A little bit.
Don't underplay yourself.
And that is literally what happened. I just kept doing Echo, and then I was basically concentrating on that, and Adastra came out. Oh, well, should be fun to do. And then a friend said, "Can you do Night in the Woods?" And things went from there, basically.
Yeah.
All accidental.
Hey man, yeah, you took opportunity. I remember finding when I think it was when, I don't know if you'd started Night in the Woods yet, but I think I found when you had started Echo, not so early on, but you'd done Echo for a little bit. I was really taken with your voice and narrative style. I was really into it. I really liked what you were doing with it, and I was really happy to see that you had continued with it. I was really glad for that. You'd kept going with it, and it's all down to all of you. It's all down to taking the opportunity and continuing with it. It's so cool. You phrase it as an accident. Yes, it's serendipitous for sure, but seizing an opportunity and continuing to make the most of it, what you make of it, that's to your credit, and that's awesome for all of you. I'm serious.
Well, we're honored.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Marshmallow Bears.
I'll paraphrase. 'Cause I've been me and my relationship with the VNs have been for a while, mainly down not furry ones though. I was a really big fan of the Phoenix Wright series growing up.
Hey, more Phoenix Wright.
I played them a lot. And then then a little visual novel came out, and it was called, I don't know if any of you are gonna know this one. It's called Asagao Academy. It was a YouTuber dating sim.
Oh,
and
I
had a crush on a boy in there, and I played that, and me and a friend, because I couldn't finish it because I had gay panic whenever the guy would talk. And my friend of mine on Discord, and they were like, "Oh, I'll play it with you." And so we ended up playing that together, and then that led me to her wanting to show me what was the cat one called again?
Nekajishi?
Nekojishi. Because she wanted to get me a gross out reaction to the sex scene in Nekojishi. Little did she know I was gay.
Uno reverse card.
Oh.
And so we get through the entire game to get to the sex scene with the big one, and I read that out completely straight faced. And then I didn't really, besides for Night in the Woods, which is like a platformer visual novel, I didn't really get into any other like visual novels besides that then until 2020, when my lovely partner Robin got into Adastra and was like, "You need to read Adastra. You really need to read Adastra." And I was like, "Okay, but I'm only reading it if we read it together." And so we would make reading visual novels like a date night of sorts. We would get in call and voice the characters and have a silly old time. And we read through Adastra, what was currently going to the smoke room, and then Echo. And I was streaming at the time, and I was like, I love this energy of just reading these visual novels and cracking jokes about them. And I was like, why can't I have this energy on stream? And so one day, for a birthday stream, I was like, fuck it, let's stream Route 65. And so I got a bunch of my friends together, and we streamed Route 65. And one of my friends posted about it in the Echo Discord, and that got a bunch of people, including McSkinny, which, if I have a bunch of anecdotes about that, into the call. And so that just led me down to reading furry visual novels on stream. Right when I made my VTuber debut that week, I added Echo to my thing, and I've just been streaming them off and on ever since. Mostly Echo. I can't escape that game.
You never do.
Any of us can.
You never
We all
do.
go in circles.
I'm currently in 2 different streams of it at once, so
Yeah. If you
I read
want
it on my
plug
channel,
the
then I
other
go to
person, do
a
it.
friend's channel and read it on there, and it's just like, oh, cool, I'm stuck in hell. But it's my hyperfixation, so I'm fine with it.
Love to hear.
Oh man, Dirk, was there anything where you wanted to add to your origin story for furry visual novels before we move on?
Let me add the tragic part. Nah, I'm just kidding. Let me let me elaborate on kind of how I guess coincidentally, yeah, found Vivian's channel. So mentioning or elaborating on the volleyball stuff, I was kind of a sports head, but also was getting into the furry fandom, and I was like wanting to see something that was like a mix of sports and furry stuff. And wouldn't you know, I saw this one streamer, well, slash novel player. I forgot if you were streaming at the time, but you were playing extracurricular activities. And I was
Oh,
like, there's a furry story with sports in it. And I was like, sign me up. And I just was like hooked on this series and just kept reading it and just well, watching it and then eventually playing it myself. So I saw that. And then that also led me down seeing Echo, then Nekajishi, and just getting into a rabbit hole of seeing all the different visual novels people played. So once again, you, Yuki Kuki, both of you were like the early pioneers of the visual novel reading series. Have to
I'm a
really credit y'all
pioneer.
there. One of the first back in
God.
the day.
Well, to be
But
fair, one of the few remaining ones, I can think of a few, but they no longer, unfortunately, are
Yeah.
fortunately.
Jake the
Oh.
Fennec and
Hmm.
yeah,
yeah.
I kind of started around the same time as you, Fallen Mel, either way.
You
Fallen
can call me
Yeah, it
Mel.
was like
Fallen
Okay.
Mel.
must be Fallen Mel.
Fine,
That's the new name of
that's
the
fine.
channel.
Fallen down the
um,
stairs.
oof. So it was like earlier in 2018. Like I was just starting college and I was just getting through the first year of it. I was really trying to find myself with it because I was starting to kind of feel like maybe I want to get more into the fandom. Maybe I want to do something else. Like what can I offer artistically? Like I wasn't really that good of an artist. I only started drawing for a year and was like, I'm not sure about posting stuff, but I was just kind of look at my options and realized I might have one of those like soothing voices then, if somebody else can do it, why not try myself? Like, YouTube's a free thing. Just
Yeah.
throw yourself out there and if people want to do it and people want to see you, you do it. And around that time, another sports visual novel came out around that time, Tennis Ace. And
Yeah.
I was so excited to play it because like nobody else had played it. And I was like, this would be a good one to start out with. Not to be one of those people that was like, "Oh, I gotta play because no one else is. I gotta make my opportunity and money or whatever." But I was like, I just wanted to see myself playing a sports visual novel, kind of relive some of the idealness of sports, but also, yeah, try my voice at acting. And so the week before, Vivian posts a video on the first episode, and I'm like, dang, but I still
Sorry.
kept going.
I didn't
Nah,
mean
it's all
to.
good. No, but it was just funny to see that because I was like, "Ah, I guess there's more people who like it." So, 'cause, you gotta take the lemonade out of lemons and all that stuff. And so I went for it, and that was my first visual novel video I did, Tennis Ace, and that is still an ongoing series on my channel. It's so weird to see like the first video of the playlist being my first ever video and then seeing as recently as like a couple weeks ago me doing the same series and
Oh
just
God,
going and going. It feels so odd to see the evolution of myself.
dude,
And so
same.
it was crazy. So yeah, because I got into that and the Echo project and all the different ones that were floating around the visual novel scene community at the time, I got into Echo. I played a little bit of it and then kind of fell off of reading it. Then I did Adastra because obviously that's the next step you do when you're reading Echo
Yeah.
Project series. That the Smoke Room, did a little bit of After Class, Password, like you name some of the bigger novels, and it's like I probably did. I kind of was floating around with them, and as I did, I was really finding myself. I felt like I was really discovering a voice in myself. Like I wanted to when I was younger, I had a very musical family, and I could not sing for my life, unfortunately. The other three family members of mine were great singers, instrument players, and all that. I was none of those. And I was like, I wish I had something. And it turned out that I guess my instrument was my narrating, my voice acting voice. Even if I wasn't
Nice.
singing, I could, yeah, do the music of my voice, the music of sound. And yeah, I guess that's how I ended up doing this.
Very nice. When you said like your first series is still going. In a way, Echo feels like it's always going. Like, because Blaidd, you said, Echo was your first game. Tennis Ace is obviously still going. My first game, I can't remember if it was repeat or extracurricular activities. I feel like it was extracurricular
I
activities.
remember. That's one I remember from you. You've been. I feel like you've been doing that one forever. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it won't
That
end.
and
They
more
added
than-
more. They added more
I
routes.
know. I
and
know. They had another character. I heard.
Yeah, they added 2. They added 2 characters, and it will
Oh my
never.
goodness.
Oh,
There's that.
what?
The art revamps and all of it. It's an
Yeah.
evolving thing, but it's kind of beautiful to see the
It's a
evolution
shame.
like ourselves.
It's a good one. The reason I stopped playing that myself personally was mainly just YouTube, because YouTube, I had 2 issues with that.
Oh
VN
yeah.
playing
Oh
on
yeah.
YouTube, so
Every
I had
episode.
to stop.
Every fucking episode. Speaking of which,
That's a whole
speaking of
nother
that
topic for
game,
later.
there was a specific question asked of Blaidd. Soul Taker 27-2 had a cool Undertaker avatar. They specifically asked, will Ballad, I assume they meant you, said, will Blaidd play extracurricular activities like you have in the past, as if I quit the fucking thing? If so, that'll be nice to see. So, will you be playing? Will you be playing that game?
I have no plans to play it at the moment. I have read it my own time. I've gone through the whole of Spencer's route and part of Harold's, but I don't really have much time at the moment. I literally just started a new VN from a video earlier today as we're recording this, and I'm thinking about the rest of the year. No, I can't start anything new till at least 2023 at this rate. Maybe not then.
Yeah, for the record, I started extracurricular activities in 2017. I still am playing it, and I don't reckon that I'll be stopping the game until it's finished, which will probably happen in a couple of years. So
I
Damn.
can't believe
I
Quite a
don't
major
want-
commitment. Yeah.
Oh yeah, major commitment.
We all
indeed.
feel so old when we start.
Yeah. We've been going for about 30 minutes, and we've addressed all of 2 of the audience questions. So I imagine we should probably dive into those.
At first.
Let's probably go into that. Here's one that a number of people, namely Naoki Cooper, who themselves deserves to be on this panel if it wasn't so hastily arranged based off of Dirk, your stream. This is the majority of that lineup. So Naoki Cooper, you absolutely esteemed narrator themselves. They, in addition to 02 Hiroki and Maestro Wolfgon, they all asked an iteration of this question: was there a character that you really enjoyed doing their voice / what character's voice is your favorite to do? Let us. Well, we got a chuckle out of Marshmallow Bears, so let's start with you. Let's start with the chuckler.
Oh,
My stream
Share-
fucking
Share
knows
with
this answer.
Yeah.
It's TJ.
TJ.
I
Let
became known
Oh.
for my TJ voice.
Well, let's hear it.
Oh.
Let's hear it.
Guys.
Oh.
My first ever not Adastra, Echo stream, I did a thing where I was like, if I get 20 gift subs, I will sing Chug Jug as TJ. Someone immediately gifted 20 gift subs, and so I had to sing Chug Jug as TJ.
Beautiful.
I also
Internet
did
is
a
wondrous
little
place.
meme read as TJ and put it in the Echo Discord server. And McSkinny jokingly was like, "Oh, we got a canon voice." So
This is what happens when you tempt the internet. They will they will make you do. They will make you
Wow.
dance.
Oh yes. It was spiked.
Fallen, what is your favorite character
Okay.
voice?
So this is gonna be I have 2 actually.
Okay.
They're gonna be. I don't. Well, so I'll do the first one because I feel like that one's probably a lot of people don't know. So I honestly like doing this little annoying imp character, named Poe in Familiar Travels that I'm still playing through, on my channel. I love doing his voice just because I have thing for like characters that are just like assholes. It's just kind of fun to play them. I don't like them, but like they're kind of fun to do voices for sometimes.
Yeah, I feel that.
That character, and I really liked doing Asher from Four Letter Word. I don't think that's the one that anybody's played either.
Not me.
Those are the two big ones. Both of them are from furry visual novels. People that probably will watch this will probably recognize. Those are two of my favorite voices to do. I mean, for the most part, I like doing all the voices I do, but those are probably two of my favorites. Just because, like I said, one like Poe is kind of like an irredeemable asshole, but it's just fun to do characters like that, voice wise. And
Mhm.
Asher's just fun because he's like kind of whiny and he's like really moody and he wants attention. Pay attention to me.
Nice.
Like that, and Poe is kind of like this. It's like he just wants people to pay attention. It's his show. You should pay attention to him. Kind of voice. And that's a voice that's fun to do, but it's killer on my throat.
Oh yeah, those
It's
scratchy.
killer on my
I
throat.
can say that word.
Yeah, it's a very scratchy voice, but it's fun to do. It's just,
Definitely.
they're both fun voices to do, though. I enjoy.
I'm a bit like Fallen. I have two I really enjoy doing for different reasons. Actually, both from the same visual novel.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So the one is Amicus.
Ah, yes. Everyone says you are the
yeah.
canon Amicus voice. There we go.
I don't know about that. Yeah, basically, I just looked at him. Okay, I think he sounds like this. I did the voice. I liked it. I kept it. It's very easy to slide into as well. And the other character I love doing from Ad Astra is actually Com.
Oh.
The reason I enjoy Com is when I was reading to Ad Astra, okay, voices, I knew exactly how I wanted to do it. And every time I do Com's voice, I'm trying as best I can to imitate an actor called Douglas Rain, who actually passed away about 6 weeks before I started recording Ad Astra.
Oh, damn.
And he was a stage actor in Canada, loved stuff, some films. He's best known as the voice of HAL 9000 in 2001.
Oh.
Really?
Perfect inspiration.
Yeah. And every time I do Com, I'm trying to think of how Hal would speak and try to do that kind of voice for him. I don't always get it. I'm pretty convinced I don't, but I'm trying for it. So actually trying to work off another actor is quite interesting for me. I don't do it anywhere else, just with Com.
Well, let's hear it. Well, everyone's doing it. We got to do it.
I have to make up some lines. I don't have anything for him, but... Amicus, are you sure about what's going on here? Do you want me to open the pod bay doors?
Oh, jeez.
Come, open the pod bay doors.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
And a 2001 reference in there for anyone who gets it.
Yeah, man.
I'm like looking through some of like my old characters because there's a lot that I could choose from, but if I had to choose a recent one that I really liked, because I have three off the top of my head. So the first one I'd say that was a more recent one that I've really liked to do is from Tennis Ace, and if anybody knows of Tanabe, the rival character for our MC Yuichi,
Mhm.
he's a Red Panda character, and so I took some relation to that. But I really loved getting into like the mindset of this calm and collected, yet very strategic, really playing his numbers of the other character and just being that kind of foil character where you really are like, you might hate him as the reader, but you could see him as just, he's just a master, just genius type of character. So if I went for his voice, I try to remember exactly what the voice was because it's been a little while, but it was something of like, well, Yuichi, I'm glad you think that, but I think I've found a strategy to beat you out.
Ooh.
Good luck.
Ooh, that's
Good
smooth.
luck. Thanks. Good luck tomorrow. Like I just get that devilish evilness in it, and I just love that. But if I had to go for some of my more classic characters, I cannot get over just Shuichi. Like, Shuichi has been one that's evolved for me the most over time, probably because it's been one of the longest ones for me, but I've always tried to give him more of this, like, gruff, kind of surfer accent, just because I think of, like, volleyball being more of, like, a coastal California thing, but I really like getting into that, like, he's cool, calm, and collected, but you could still see some of the, like, kind of little quirks in him where he's just you get a little bit of an anxiety here. I'm just Nico, no, not like that. I'm not. Just yeah, just getting into the mix of his calmness, but also some of the things he's high strung on. I've really loved voicing, even if I haven't had a specific voice for him.
Nice.
But yeah, the third one though, I guess, would be from the smoke room. Have to go back to the Echo Project there as always,
They're
and
always there.
yeah, really. I've really liked doing Samuel. It's just I always slip into him. Like some of y'all really have a character that you just slip into. I always feel that when I start out with like Samuel, like some other characters I have to either think of oh, I'm just doing my regular voice because they're just the MC, or I have to really plan out what I'm doing and kind of take a bit to warm up. Samuel's just like, let me get into this southern accent and go into Night of Echo. It may be a little bit crappy right now, but well, a job is a job. It's always
Mm,
fun to get that like jadedness of him.
That's very
Alright.
cool. And on the same token, there is another question involving character voices coming from Yena Beans on Twitter, asking what is the hardest character voice you've ever done?
Ah,
Stick with Dirk on this one and kind of work in reverse. What was the hardest character voice you can remember doing?
ooh, rounding the bend. This is fun. I was thinking about that at the same time, and I actually had thought about this because I did see that one posted, and yeah, it gave me some time to think. I have to say, like Dean or William, like those characters with gruffer voices. I really have to get into the pitch for it. Like sometimes you think of, oh, I kind of know how I get into this voice. Those voices, I really have to like try and remember every time. It's like, how do I get the gravel? And it's like Dean's. It's like you gotta go really low, but also tighten your voice at the same time for him. Like, you
Yeah.
try to get that growl of a bear, but
Yeah.
also you don't wanna, like, burst your vocal cords doing
Yeah.
that.
For the sake of not destroying the rest of your voices for the rest of the podcast, you don't have to do too much of it or even know all at all
Yeah.
if you're worried about it. But
Or even when you're streaming and you, like, have to do the other characters' voices, because then you're like, snap back into another voice and you're like, "Ah,
oh
shoot, I
yeah,
gotta make sure I don't knock it out for the other characters." But those are
definitely.
my
And go in reverse, we'll go to Blaidd. What is your hardest character voice that you have done?
Pretty much any women.
Yeah.
That really covers everything I have problems with. As I'm talking out, is how I normally speak, so my normal pitch. And to go up to some of those characters is quite difficult. And that's why, if you notice, all my female characters tend to speak quite quietly because I can't talk loudly at that pitch. The worst overall video I've ever done was for Echo, TJ's route. There's quite a long scene where Janice, TJ, and Jenna are all talking in the diner, and Chase makes occasional comments. So for maybe 15 minutes, I was way up in the top of my range trying to do all these voices, and I could feel my throat tightening up at the end of it.
Ooh.
So,
Oh, that's rough.
yeah, so any women just very hard to do, and they all sound very much the same, I think.
Yeah. Oof.
Hardest character voice. Well, I already said Poe, so we can't use him again. I would say anything with a thick accent, actually. I've only played it once. Um, there was a long time ago. I played a very visual novel. I don't know. I guess I'd call it very visual novel. Called Changeling Tale, and that visual novel takes place in Scotland. So I tried to do my best Scottish accent, and uh, it was rough. I feel really bad. I apologize numerous times throughout this video, because I was like, I don't want to offend anybody. I'm trying my best. I would definitely say so. I would say Changeling Tail, probably for the main character because he is a national. He's a nationally born Irish uh, person, and that one I would say that one. That was really hard. I'm not good with facts. I'm not not terrible, but there's some accents that are a lot harder than others. Like Blaidd. Blaidd does his accent very well. I could not do that kind of accent. I feel like I would butcher it. That's why I get very nervous when I have to do a British voice. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I'm recently been in a spat of like torture with accents myself, mainly because I can't get around the mental gymnastics of is it if I try to do it, is it like when is it good to do one? When is it proper? Is it if I do it too accurately, if I do it not well enough, if it and I always think the voice is not good enough. Plus I don't think I'm any good at accents anyway, so I'm always worried that if I do a bad accent, it'll come across indecent. So plus I just have a bad history with certain accents, especially like Australian accents. I cannot do an Australian accent to save my fucking life.
Oh, they can be tricky. Like, yeah, there are a few accents. Like, going back to that, like after Fallen to talk about accents, I thought of one that was really tough for me for tennis ace. I could never get a French accent down. Like,
Yeah,
there's this
Vic.
transfer student.
Ooh.
Yeah, Victor or Vic. Yeah. Oh my God, he was the hardest for me to do, and I'm like, I cannot figure out what a French accent exactly was. So I was trying to go
Apparently
for
he
the
doesn't have
"oui,
one.
oui."
Yeah,
I
heard from the
guess
creator
not
he
after
doesn't have one.
real.
Yeah. Marshmallow Bears, hardest voice you've ever done for a character.
The first one that comes to mind is Flynn, just because it's so raspy, it hurts my voice, and also it's like a voice you have to like kick into gear. It's once you get it going, it's going, but I easily slip out of it, and I'm just doing like a half-baked imitation of my own voice for the character. So it's just like I can feel myself, oh god, I'm slipping out of the voice, gotta try and fit back into it, and it's just whenever he appears, it's just like shit. I gotta get into this role. The second one would be Murdoch, just because I forget what fucking voice I give him.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
All the time.
He'll appear
I know
on
that one.
screen. I do a voice for him, and then like it'll go over to another character talking. Then Murdoch talks again, and I'm like, wait a second, what was his voice?
Those are the worst of that.
Yeah.
I think I may have assigned you Murdoch in the summer AU. I'm
I
sorry.
mean, I kind of have a voice for Murdoch now, but I had forgotten how to do it, and so in that thing I was like, I did a voice, and I'm like, that's not Murdoch's voice. Oh no, and I'm like sweating. I'm like, good thing I don't read Smoke Room publicly, so no one knows I'm off voice.
Yep. That's always the secret.
Yeah.
Don't do it out loud.
Play it cool. This is all going to plan.
It's another one of the reasons I don't do it live is to cut out all the times where I get to a character I haven't read in a while and have to go to my own playlist to pull up a video to listen to how I did it before.
You're not the only one who does that.
Oh my
I wish I did
god.
that more.
A lot of people asked this question. It was probably the most asked question of all the people. A good 4 people asked this very same question. One person even added a stipulation onto it. Neville Gaskins, Apollo's Imagination, Walt Hitchcock, and Inugami the Hound all asked, what is everyone's individual favorite furry visual novel game? And Inugami the Hound also asked least favorite. We'll do the least favorite afterwards if you are interested, but I struggle with this one. This one's hard.
I mean, I also struggle if some of them are like most or least favorite based on personal or maybe some experiences we've gone through, but I'll try my best to be as not objective, but as
it's
not
all
biased as
subjective,
possible.
but yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm always someone that has to be
I mean.
like, oh, I have to go through all the and make sure it's a definitive, declarative statement. I weighed everything against everyone. I think for purposes of this, since we didn't have time to go through all of them and make sure it's all, let's just go with which one feels like your favorite right now, and no one hold it against us if literally tomorrow or in the future, near future, we're like, actually, nah.
That's all good.
Just
Fair
in all
enough.
fairness, because I did my best not to think about any of these questions. Obviously, I had more ahead of time than everyone, but the rest of you are getting this question fucking out of the blue. So
we all know what the right answer is. I say as I put on my boxing gloves.
Whip up the shield.
Oh, I'm ready to fight. I don't care.
Let's do it.
All right, let's see where this goes.
Who am I gonna pick to be the first one to say it? Dirk the Red Panda, and you can't pick your own.
Oh,
shucks. Man, I can't plug my own visual. Nah, but it's all good.
You got to plug it at the top of the fucking thing. You can't.
mhm.
Yes, top, bottom, middle, just everywhere. But my favorite visual novel, being serious with that, there are a couple of really good ones I've found over time. I would have to evolve over it. But if I had to say my most recent favorite that I've really been attached to, I have to say Password has really shocked me of all of them recently, because I took a break from Password for a little while. I had like a couple of months at the end of last year where I took a step back and kind of offloaded some novels, had to make some tough cuts just because it was a lot to do online and I was really burning the candle at both ends. But when I got back into Password, the past few updates have been very engaging to me. You really attach to the characters, and I just really felt the pain of the characters and all this. And even if the concept itself felt very contained, not just locationally, but in the sense of you just have the same 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 characters in it, they all really develop to me. I really feel attached to Tyson and Dave's connections. I'm not going to go too deep into any spoilers with that, but the further you get into it, you really see the characters, and even the ones that I was like a little more either apathetic to or felt like, maybe they might be up to something no good. Like there are characters like that, like Roswell and Oswin, that the further I got into just really hit me well, and you find out more from them. And even in routes where you don't pursue them, it's like everybody feels so well-rounded. You really feel for all the characters. You don't want anything bad to happen to all of them the more you play it. And yeah, it's just a great development. The game itself with the passwords and the logic of all that really worked out well. People are making their whole conspiracy theories. I have a friend who was super into that and sending me password memes, and that whole community is just a fun community to say. So long story short, I'd say that's my favorite visual novel as of today. Checks clock, September 25th, 2022. My time is 8:34 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It will change any minute now.
'Tis the nature of favorites. Marshmallow Bears.
I'm going to guess a lot of people are, just because it's a hyperfixation, a lot of people are going to expect me to say Echo. But no, it barely counts as a visual novel, but I'll count it because in my heart of hearts, it has to be Night in the Woods. That is one of my favorite games of all times. The characters, the setting, everything just spoke to me on a level no other game has spoken to me before. And it's just very, very personal to me. Growing up in a small Midwestern town, it just felt like the game was speaking to me.
Very nice. Fallenwolf.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no! What am I to do?
Okay. So for me, I know I mentioned it earlier, with one of the voices. I'm gonna say a 4-letter word. Still to this day, That's still probably my top favorite furry visual novel. Echo would probably be a close second, but I still 4-letter word, and it's partially because it has I relate to it in a personal way. 4-letter word. I relate to it in a somewhat personal way, but I really enjoyed a lot about it. I thought it did very well with feeling like the setting was a very realistic setting. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but one of my issues, again, this is a personal issue, so I don't want anybody to take offense to it. One of my personal issues with a lot of furry visual novels is they tend to try to make the world where these where these people exist very fantastical, and I don't have anything against that, but I kind of always have had a thing for like sci-fi or fantastical ideas set in a more contemporary time. And I feel like a 4-letter word feels very very contemporary. Like everything that's discussed and whatnot in that that visual novel is very modern, and I feel like it's very relatable to our time. There's a lot of there's a lot of various different real life themes in there, and I related to it very well. Obviously, I don't want to say really a lot because I don't want to spoil it. But honestly, I think part of the reason is just the personality. Like I said, how I personally relate to it. And yeah, that's unfortunately that visual novel has been put on indefinite hiatus. Hopefully, it will get worked on again. But if not, it was. I still think it's a fantastic visual novel.
Nice.
Well, like Dirk said, as of today, the 25th of September at now 8:38 p.m.
We're on the same time zone now.
Yeah, for another month or two. But probably at the moment, I would say Echo.
Nice.
I did a whole 50-minute video talking about Echo like a year and a half ago now. So I said a lot of things I want to in there, but it was, as I say in the video, basically it was what really got me into the whole furry visual novel genre. I'd played one before, and it's okay. And then Echo, interesting. Okay, now I'm really into this. I need to see what's going on. And there's just the variation we get and the different routes of things happening, the secrets that are there, the whole horror aspect, something I enjoy. And part of it as well is, of course, we have Chase, and he's going back to their hometown after not too long. I've actually done that as well, because I'm from Britain, as most people realise, and I live in Canada, and going back to where I grew up after a few years away, it's kind of odd in a way, but also very familiar. It's a hard thing to explain, and I can feel that a bit with what Chase narrates in Echo. It's that feeling that things have changed, things haven't, and there's something not quite right because you've been away and you've changed, but the town hasn't. So it's quite a few things like that, and just, well, I have to mention the reveal of what happened to Sydney without going into great detail. Really surprised me. I was not expecting that, and yeah, there's a few things like that. I would have to put Echo at the moment as my most favourite.
Very solid pick. Would you guys feel it would be pertinent or a worthwhile endeavor to do the least favorite as well?
Oh,
I can start a fight. If
Oh,
no one else
no.
wants to, I can start a fight.
Let's bring a boxing ring to the campfire.
Well, then let us go in
Fight it.
reverse order again. Let's continue. Blaidd Llwyd, least favorite visual novel.
Well, furry visual novel.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much all the ones I played. That's really a tough one.
Don't be shy.
Uh-oh. Spill the tea.
Probably if I had to go with one, I'd say I'd probably go for Blackgate, because it started off against the first VN I actually read. Very interesting, a lot of interesting stuff, and for one reason or another, which if people know about stuff, I'm not going to explain it now. Things have not gone too well with it. It's not had any updates. It's really, there's this potentially very good thing. I think Blaidd made a few errors. He maybe done less routes and so on. But yeah, I don't know if it's ever going to be finished. And for something that looked like it could have been really interesting to what we have now, yeah, I'm not too happy with where things are gone. So I had to choose a least favorite one, mainly for the potential that has not been realized. I'd go with Blackgate.
That's a good reason. Fallenwolf.
Oh, jeez. Well, at first I was going to say one furry game, but then I was like, I wouldn't consider that a visual novel. At first I'll say it because I don't care. First I was going to say Amorous, and then I was like, that's not even a furry visual novel. I wouldn't even consider that a...
that's more of a dating sim.
Yeah, so then I was like...
the game.
Yeah, so that's not it. For me, I actually would say Lagoon Lounge.
Oh,
It's a good
forgot about
pick.
that one.
Lagoon Lounge, there's a reason. Lagoon Lounge, I'm not going to get into it. For me, it's mostly because there are a lot of problematic issues, not least of all with the main character. I remember when I first played it, I was like, okay, this seems like a cute little somewhat slice of life, in like a Japanese kind of culture, with a lot of Japanese culture installed into it. And then as I played along, I said, there's something wrong with this main character. But then I was like, well, maybe they get better. That's a thing. I've read stories, characters get better. And then as I go along, I'm like, this character's not going to get better, are they? And no, they didn't. They got worse. They got a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
And by the end of it, I was severely disappointed. And I never played the other two because Lagoon Lounge, for people that are watching this video, Lagoon Lounge is a trilogy. There are 3. I played the first one myself. I did not play the second and third one. I actually, funnily enough, watched VivianJade play. I watched you. I don't think you played 3. I don't think you ever finished 3. I watched you play 2. I think Ookie Cookie played all of them as well. So I watched him play 3, but I watched you play 2. And I was like, I'm really glad that I decided not to go out of my way to try to get this game installed on my computer because I was blown away. The character gets so much worse. And yeah. So basically my reason is Lagoon Lounge has a lot of very the main character is very unlikable. They do very little to improve themselves. And they do a lot of very, very bad things. I'll just say that. They do a lot of very bad things. So Lagoon Lounge would probably be my at least that I've played so far. Lagoon Lounge would probably be my worst. I do not like Lagoon Lounge.
I frequently consider taking those videos down.
I took them down from I took them down from 2 mixes. I was getting a lot of strikes. I actually got 2 strikes from that playlist. Along with just the fact that I really don't like where things happening, and when I watch it now, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to have these on. So
yeah, those videos may not be long for this world. Anyone who's watching this likes that that series specifically.
Right.
Be warned, those videos may not be on very much longer. Marshmallow Bears. Here's your fight.
I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I can't stand the smoker.
Really?
Oh,
I'm not gonna say a lot of the reasons why, because a lot of them are personal. But God, the writing. I'm a fan of Echo, so I can stand when bad and depressing things happen, but there is not a lick of happiness in that whole fucking story. It's just misery after misery after misery. Oh, let's just add on some more bad shit to happen out of nowhere. Not needed. The only light in that whole visual novel for me was Cliffy. Many people know Cliff is my waifu. I love him. I only read his route now. But I tried reading one of the most recent builds, and I couldn't. I couldn't. It was just so bad. The writing was so bad.
Aww.
It's definitely a hate read for me now, though. It's to me, it's a dumpster fire that I'm just like, time to see what's going on there. Oof, that's bad.
If I may ask, what is your? If I may ask your opinion on that, and like based on the Echo, not universe itself, but just the echolocation. Like, what are your thoughts on that with Arches? Like, is it a similar? Like, it's all sad, no happy?
Oh, I like Arches.
Really?
Oh,
Really?
You
Yeah,
Arches,
Arches
but you
is
don't
fun.
like the smoke room.
I feel like
but
what I
that's just
see,
because I have Arches has some light in the darkness. It's
really
Fucking
yeah. There's some light in the darkness, but
it's like
for
okay.
Smoke Room, it's just it. I don't know. It's and there's just a lot because with Arches, I can see the story getting better. Like I can see, okay, these characters are fighting and I can see it getting better. There was a little bit of time in Arches where I was like, yes. this is gonna go bad, and I'm very nervous. But yeah, I don't see that with Smoke Room. It's just.
I mean, that's a pattern I sometimes notice in all like those Echo, like not all Echo Project Universe, but I guess I'm specifying like the Echo City based stories, Echo Town based stories, where there is some of that. How can it get worse? I personally enjoy all three, but I totally get why each of them people may not like. I've seen people where they hate just Echo, but maybe like the Smoke Room, or hate the Smoke Room.
Also just
either combination.
I get one of the main characters is a prostitute, and so there's going to be a lot of sex in the story, but you don't have to fucking put a sex scene in every single update. There was a part where Sam basically cheated on Nick, and I got mad about that.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I know.
And I was like, what are you doing? This is no.
Yeah, it's like
you can't have someone tell you they want to be monogamous with you, and then you go and immediately sleep with someone else. Nah, that made me mad.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my hot take, and I've gotten flack on stream for that, where people are like, no, it's good. And I'm like, no.
But like to be fair, like what Dirk said, I still haven't played. Unfortunately, I really do want to play Smoke Room because what I've heard, is interesting about it. But I've had similar options of people who've played all the Echo Project VNs, and I've had some people that are like, oh, like I really didn't like Echo, but I love Smoke Room, or like I said, vice versa, where maybe they're like, oh, like I really loved Echo, but I don't really care for Smoke Room. So to be fair, it is, while it sounds like a hot take, I know, like I said, I personally know people that have kind of like don't like every story in the Echoverse, but like certain ones. So
yeah. There's definitely a flavor for everyone.
Yeah,
it's a very mixed bag with that.
I've been on the receiving end of a few of those where like on my I've been very vocal on a number of things, you most notably on your March Madness thing, where people will be for some fucking reason voting for a lot for Leo.
Why?
I know, it's confusing,
and I just don't fucking get it.
If we want to talk about that, we'll talk about Brian too. Surprisingly, having some.
Are you? Oh my God! Don't get me started. What? That is so much worse. You don't know?
No. You guys don't know the half of it. You guys don't know the half of it.
I've been having discussions with Blaidd here and there, and I'm just I don't understand it. We're both like I don't understand it.
Depraved fucking sick fucks.
I personally believe most people talking about Brian are joking, but I personally know someone who's down so bad for Brian that it's just like, damn, I kind of respect you, because his thing is not that I can fix him. It's that No, I like him how he is. I think his faults are funny.
What?
They're sexy, and it's just like,
My
damn,
Lord.
dude,
What?
love you, God.
Oh, okay. That's
What?
all.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
That's very concerning.
that's a topic we might want to steer from. But just,
Mhm.
Hey,
I'm not sure if March Madness has brought in the best or the worst out of people with that.
Hey.
That's a thing we could talk about another time, because
I
that's
mean,
a whole
like,
having an
other
aneurysm.
can of worms.
but no, Brian, like I remember seeing stuff and I was like, oh man, I really love the art. What is it? The Painted Fox, I think his Twitter name is, that does the art for Arches.
Oh,
And I'm
Paint
like,
Fox. Yeah.
the Paint Fox. Yeah, I really enjoy the art for that. And I remember seeing Brian, and I was like, oh, like the art's really done. Like, I mean, but I wasn't like anyway, like, oh man, he's great, because I remember playing. I haven't finished Echo, but I remember playing Leo's route and him and that, and I was like, oh, I hate this guy. He's and remember seeing people thirsty. I've seen so much when I try to look up Echo stuff. There's so much like not safe for work Brian stuff, and people in the comments like, oh my god, I love him. He's so great. Oh, and I'm like, what?
Mm.
I don't.
But that's a whole thing. I feel like we could have a whole podcast on that, about the whole we could have a whole podcast on the whole idea of how much looks matter in the furry fandom, especially when it even just the fictional stuff, because there's some characters.
Those for whom their priorities are beyond fucked.
It's like when you
The
have a
world I
class
want to
of
get
some.
off.
Yeah, it's like when you have a class that talks about like, oh, this one chapter, but there's a whole separate class on it for a whole semester or whatever, and that feels like when you talk about characters and stuff like that, where you're like, how does this work? Like, you can have whole like theses and stuff on this stuff. It can get into a
you can
Right,
you
and-
can have a
right.
character that is the most fucked up person, but give them big man titties, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, wooga.
mm-hmm.
Dirk,
Our tits.
Oh,
Dirk, for the love of donuts, tell me what your least favorite furry visual novel is, and get us the
I guess
fuck
we've been-
out of this topic.
I guess we've built it up for so long that I'm just like, hopefully it can't get any worse. This is another one that people might fight me for just because of my experiences with it, but how some people may have very strong opinions on this story. My least favorite visual novel is Far Beyond the World. And it's because of-
I promise I
the
won't
story
say
is-
anything.
That would have been mine, but I haven't read it, so.
Dirk,
Well,
I think you lost a
let me
few
explain why.
subscribers.
Well, I mean, I feel like I may have lost some when I told people I'm not playing the series anymore. But the reason I've stopped is just the story itself felt like it just had less and less redeeming qualities within it, or like certain logic points of like why characters did certain decisions just became less and less believable to me, or less like, I don't know, understandable or sympathetic. And then it got towards an end where like some of the things that they were doing were very unrealistic, especially a part about drinking where they got just way beyond hammered. And at the time I was having a really bad stint of like alcohol issues at the moment. And so I guess I should put like a trigger warning of that, like just a bad alcohol incident with that. And so I had a really bad hangover that I wasn't sure if it got to the point of alcohol poisoning, but it was like I had then read Far Beyond the World that following night and seen them just downing drink after drink after drink, and like seeing them talk about it. And it's like I was counting how many drinks this one character was doing, and it was like they had like 8 or 9 drinks. And that was like the moment that snapped for me of like, these characters just feel very unbelievable beyond to me. And so that just took me out of it. And that final episode I did, there was a twist at the end of it where it was like, oh, was it all a dream type of thing? And that's when I just was like, it had jumped the shark for me. I could not keep myself playing it. I stopped playing it. I've cut myself off from even reading it offline. So I'd hear people talk about anecdotes and their experiences with it later on, but for me, I've been content just leaving it be. I don't need to go into I need to keep reading it to hate read, but it's just something where I've read it. I've kind of felt a decline with it as I got over time with it. And by the end of it, I just closed it, put it away, and just said, this is not for me. I'm going to go with something else. And if people don't like it, that's their thing. If people like it, that's their thing. I'm happy that, the creator themselves can still do what they can, and people are happy with it. But it's just not my jam, I guess, is what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna, just because I don't like the story. It's like the whole separate art from the artist. I think you've mentioned that before, Vivian, on a podcast.
Leave me out of this.
I'm sorry. Should we cut that out?
No, just leave me the fuck out of this.
I guess this is a thing. I guess I need to keep it as contained to myself as possible, because it feels like if people, I don't know, it's sometimes you talk about stories, and if other people kind of tag in or tag out, then it's like collateral damage and all that stuff.
No, y'all can talk amongst yourselves. Just
don't.
I said I won't say anything.
My personal opinion. I'm trying to figure out a way to say this without coming across as I'm attacking, because at the end of the day, you do whatever you want. Well, I mean, for the most part. So for me, I had heard about Far Beyond the World for a while. I'd watched Blaidd's videos, which are great. I really enjoy his. I really enjoy your Far Beyond the World videos. They're really good. Besides the point, though. Besides me, stroking Blaidd's, ego.
Yeah, that. Oh, shit.
Blaidd.
For me, usually I'm for the most part, I'm pretty, I try to tend to keep myself, I try to separate work from the creators. For me, I had thought about playing it, but there was a mix of, one, I play it with a bunch of friends. For some reason, I watched one of my friends play through it. Not you, Blaidd, but yes, you, Blaidd. I watch you too. But, and for me, I have a limit for me with creators and their works. Like, obviously, here's a good example. Again, I'm not trying to start anything, but like J.K. Rowling. That's a really good one. I'm sure Vivian, you know about J.K. Rowling.
Oh yes.
I used to really enjoy Harry Potter. That was one of the first. That was one of the books. Being honest, when I was growing up, that's one of the books that got me into reading. And to this, and even now, I still will be like, yes, that was what got me into reading. But I've separated my, there's a limit to how far I can separate a work from the creator before I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't want anything to do with the series. I don't, because the creator, I don't want to. And it's kind of like how it is for Far Beyond the World with me. That, as well as another VN that I will not bring up because the creator tends to attack people who talk about it, so I will leave the other VN alone. But like, for me, it's like there's a limit, and I don't enjoy certain things that were said by the creator, and so I refuse to support the work. That's my opinion. Whoever wants to continue to support their work, I wish you the best, and the creator themselves, I wish you the best and your endeavors, your creative endeavors. But for me, that's mainly why I will refuse to play that on my channel.
It's fair,
as well as a mix of what Dirk said. I have seen stuff, and I strongly have a lot of issues with certain writing aspects of certain characters, and the way that, in my opinion, I do not appreciate how homosexuality is treated in that story. But that's me. So
I think we wrapped that one up pretty well. We moved away from one topic to another. Well, let's put it away. Let's put the landmine away.
Yeah, that was my piece. Like I said, and like I said, everybody's entitled to what they want to like, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm telling you you're wrong if you like this, but.
Yeah, it's our word. We take it with a grain of sand or whatever. We're not gospel, whatever the phrase is.
The next couple of questions, actually. A couple of people did bring in a series of questions. I did cull a number of those because sometimes people just leave a fucking laundry list of shit. This comes from...
Favorite color in the end. Favorite this, favorite that.
Oh, yeah. Favorite color of red.
Favorite day of the week in the visual novel.
Friday, because everything happens on Friday. Yeah.
Friday.
Yes.
This comes from a name that a lot of people in the visual novel sphere will be familiar with. CV4. Yeah, Civic
CV4.
Variants 4, the maestro,
CV4.
the composer, done a number of tracks for a number of visual novels, as well as, I believe, for, and I know they did my outro song, formerly my intro song as well. I cannot remember who amongst here they did tracks for. Was it you, Blaidd?
Yeah, my opening music and the closing music as well.
Nice. Did they do anyone else's music too, or is it just us?
They did. They did mine. The outro I have, that music is from them, as well as my Twitch channel. The little stream thing that I set up before I actually officially start streams, that music is from them.
Nice. They get around. They're so fucking cool.
Yes. Yes.
So cool, so
I'm glad
talented, so fresh. Making them sound like a fucking a piece of bread you got out of the fucking store. So fresh. Their first question is this: all of you are narrators, but as of late, there has been a boom of new visual novels to read. How do you all decide which one to read for your channel?
Ooh.
Yes, a decision of discretion. Which one do you pick? And we will start with Marshmallow Bears.
Well, this is pretty easy because I have read the least amount of visual novels of probably anyone here. Because doing it on Twitch, you have to be very, very careful what you put on the platform. If you have bulges are fine, but if you have a peen, you're gonna get kicked off. So what I do, if I see something interesting, I'll read it through it first, so no first reactions, and then I'll play it. And really, since I go for more like a personal curated thing, it really does come down to how I felt during that first initial read through to make sure there was nothing bad in it. So that's basically it. Is it Twitch appropriate, and did I like it?
Terms and conditions are your criteria. Fair
Basically.
enough. You gotta be safe. Blaidd Llwyd, how do you choose what to play?
Basically, it's just I read through the first build or so and see what I think of it. Sometimes someone will actually recommend VN to me. So Fallen and I are doing A Place to Call Home together, and she actually suggested that one. So I hadn't read it before.
Good choice.
Yeah, so sometimes I'll hear it from someone. So, this is good. You might like it. Other times I just come across it on the FVN Discord server or on Twitter or something like that. And recently I've actually had one or two creators reach out to me, which is very odd. They think I'm worth reaching out to, but there we go. That's how it goes. So I've actually discovered VNs from say, hey, we have this VN we're working on. Would you like to have a look at it? So that's the other way. And yeah, basically, do I enjoy it? Is it worth reading based on the first build or two? And can I actually manage it? You know, is it okay? How many names are in there that'll be a problem? Part of the reason I took so long to get to Tennis Ace was all the Japanese names, which I don't pronounce very well. That, and the fact that Dirk was doing it, I don't want to step on his toes. So.
Oh, no. It's
so considerate.
Yeah, basically, if I enjoy it, yeah, that's a good reason for me to at least think about it.
Nice. Speaking of, Dirk!
All right, so how do I do it? I mean, it is an ongoing decision process for me because normally when I've started picking up novels, it's just out of a genuine curiosity of it. Like, I haven't done much, like, in terms of a background checking of reading through the entire novel before I start normally. I'll read through descriptions and, like, the page of the itch.io page itself normally and go, is this something that I can see myself getting into? And is this something that I could see other people also interested in? But another thing that I will decide to, like, choose based on that is, like, is it a continuously updating story? Or is it something that it's too far ahead for me to catch up with? Because that's what's happened to me with some stories where it's like, I don't know if I could catch up to, per se, like, maybe Liar or doing all the different echo routes on my channel, or I'm trying to think of other examples of that. But even repeats, it's like some of those where it's just like they're so far into development that I know there are other people out there that do a great job on it. And there are numerous sources and places, to check out. And so I don't limit myself as I must be the prophet of this story, but mainly my goal is just, is it something that I can keep myself up to date with? Is it something I enjoy? And is it something that I could see being up different people's alleys? And then from there, obviously, I might do a little checking and tweaking to see, will I continue with this series? Because there are some that I've like looked at and gone, these are nice, but I can't see myself continuing. Like I've had that with like After Class, Socially Awkward. Both of those are great stories, but in terms of having to do a consistent schedule and choosing my top like 6, 5, 7, or whatever I limited myself down to, it was like those where it's like just missing the cut or whatever, where I like to still read them offline, but I am not somebody that's going to be able to keep up with it because, like I said, other people do it and I can watch them do it. I've watched Blaidd's videos on it and even Vivian's for a repeat. And that's a great thing about this community, especially with the boom. It really helps to have so many different options and choices. And it is pretty likely that if you look up something, at least one person might be doing that new visual novel. It gives a lot of new creators a space to try themselves out, kind of like how I felt when I started Tennis Ace. It was something that was still relatively new, not that many people have done it, and it eventually gained that momentum and people will start reading it. I think I found that with other series too that have had that happen with them.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a mix of two things. Obviously, I want to play something I enjoy. Unfortunately, that is why sometimes people who may look at my channel, especially like further, they may notice there's a lot of VNs there. They're like, well, here there's 2 videos here. Where are the rest of them? Because I play my visual novels blind. I play them completely blind. I don't know. I mean, save for knowing what the story is, I pretty much play them completely blind. I don't know like what's going to happen. I purposely avoid videos. That's why I feel so bad. Blaidd, Vivian, Dirk, etc. Because like a lot of times, like I don't watch your videos as often, mainly because you might be playing something that I'm considering playing, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be spoiled. I want my reactions to be genuine, so I will purposely avoid watching videos till after I've done it. Especially if it's the VN that I plan on playing, and then I'll go back just because I don't want to spoil myself. Like a good example is Arches. I watch Blaidd. I watch all of your Arches videos and streams, and I will purposely avoid watching them until after I've done mine. I don't want to be spoiled. I like having genuine reactions. I promise you, this is not another tangent, but like I've never been a fan of watching like YouTubers or reaction whatever people who are overly dramatic with their reactions, because in my opinion, I feel like it's, at least for me, it's pretty easy to tell when somebody's having a genuine reaction and when somebody's having a false reaction.
Yeah.
Like I've seen so many YouTubers that have like, reaction videos, and I'm like, oh, this is so fake. Like they're so overreacting. They're overacting.
Yeah.
Compared to somebody who's like, oh wow,
the clouds.
Compared to somebody who's like, oh my gosh, like wow, like like it's a lot different. And that's why, like for me, like I go in blind. So like when you generally hear my reaction, that's me. That's my my actual reaction. Like if I'm surprised, I'm really surprised. If I'm hating something, I really hate it, etc. So for me, that, and also just whatever sticks with me. Obviously, like it's kind of funny because I notice, like, as I look at my channel and others, I notice I play a lot more different visual novels than other people. Not completely, but like Familiar Travels, I know that's different. Nobody's played that. Or there's another one too that I played. I'm probably not going to remember right now, but there's been other certain VNs I've played that other people. Oh, 4-letter word. We brought that up earlier. 4-letter word. Like I, as far as I'm aware, I'm the only furry visual novel YouTuber that's really played that. And like I said, so it has to be something that I feel a connection to. Is basically what I'm saying. Something that I feel a connection to, and something that I genuinely enjoy. And like I said, since I play blind, that's why you might see a lot of like series that have 1 or 2 videos and then I stop because I don't play these beforehand. I play these blind, and it just so happens to be if I enjoy it, I'll keep playing it. If I don't, I'll stop.
Well, I mean, that's a fun part of like when having different tastes as visual novel readers, because like my channel has its certain VNs I play, yours has your VNs, and yeah, that's the fun part when you are trying to look up a certain VN you're interested in, because even if your main YouTuber that you like doesn't play it, someone else might, and you discover somebody new, and you get to expand your community of people. It's been nice to see this VN community grow.
Absolutely. And I also feel you on the blind playthroughs, because I also do that. This is like the only question I'm also answering. Does it feel weird that I haven't also answered the questions?
I was wondering that.
Yeah. I was like, this is
your turn.
Because I've been trying to like do this as an interview, but like I didn't know if I was also supposed to be answering this stuff. But
You do you.
I also play everything blind. The most I'll do for research is skimming the itch page. I'll see if the art looks finished. I'll see if the builds have been updated within the last months. And if it looks legible, like if the itch page looks like it was built by someone who's just like slapping together a bologna sandwich on their 5-minute lunch break, then I'm like, maybe not. But but if it looks like it was put together by someone who's actually interested in the project, then and I'll like maybe skim the story. I know that with my memory I'm going to forget what the fucking story is, but I know that if I look at my bookmarks bar and something is bookmarked on itch, at one point I was interested in it. And I also keep a Google Sheets of things I'm playing, things that I want to play, things that were recommended. It's all organized there. So I know that there's stuff on there that I want to play. Liar was on there for a long time. I've done 1 episode. And then for the most part, the stuff that I play, it's just trying to keep up with all the fucking updates. That's it. It's just, as soon as I record an update, another thing gets updated, and I'm like, God fucking damn it. I'll never get to play Final Fantasy X ever again.
I remember when I kept trying to keep up with all of them in the peak of my like amount that I did, and it was like I was doing 2, 3, sometimes 4 days a week. I was playing all these updates.
Yeah,
it was intimidating, and that's why I was like, I had to limit myself because there are so many good ones.
I completely understand that. I think that's been for me personally. I know that's been one of my issues with really making videos. I think for one, it's just so overwhelming because I know, for example, like Vivian, going back to you, Vivian, I know when you used to be making furry visual novel videos, there weren't that many furry visual novels out there, but now it's like everyone and their grandma and grandpa decided that they are going to make a furry visual novel. And there are a lot.
Yeah.
So many.
And especially since I'm episodic too, because I know, you got you got, streamers in here. You got people who upload like hours long stuff. So, and the streamers also do that for your VODs. And sometimes it just seems like that is the easier fucking thing for me to do. Like I want to do that. I'm not saying it's easy. That's not what I meant to say. What I mean is I feel like it would be easier for me to do that. I apologize if that came across as unintentionally insulting. What I meant is I feel like it would be easier for me to do that than what I'm currently doing.
I know, we get it. It's a different format for everyone.
Yeah.
And there's also the perks of like, recording, you get to redo your takes, but versus live streaming, you might not have as good of a quality. Yeah. You have to balance that.
Yeah, but you also, I used to stream back in 2018, 2019, something like that.
I remember like one of you, I think I remember some of your...
Yeah. The problem is...
I remember hopping on and being like, oh, it's Vivian. Hi, Vivian. I'd be like that guy.
And
I remember some very obscure ones too.
yeah, I had my first flub, my first getting a developer pissed off at me flub. Yeah, my original one. People forget about that one. It was Lagoon Lounge actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
was the
yeah. The OGs
see, I did
remember
forget that.
this one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I said that the translation in the original Lagoon Lounge was done poorly, and people
I
who
remember
really
this.
like Lagoon Lounge went to the translator of that game, and
Oh my
they
gosh.
said that
Yeah.
Deckerlink on YouTube said that you suck at your job. And that
Oh,
person
jeez.
was like, "Oh, well, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know anything about translating." And so I apologized on YouTube. I made an apology video. I made a YouTuber apology video. 'Cause
Oh,
I-
We all
jeez.
gotta do one of those.
Yeah, I had never been there
Really?
before. How quaint. Just doing one apology video and then the whole thing was done. How little I knew of controversies to come. But anyway, next question from CV4. Question from CV4. Because there's such a variety of visual novels to read now, there's a lot of content to go through. But I was wondering if there was a genre you wished furry visual novels explored more.
Ooh.
What genres in the furry visual novel space seem to be untapped to you? Let us start with Blaidd.
It's also possible that I'm missing them. There's so many VNs out, you can't read them. But can't think of too many like old-style detective stories, like Agatha
Ooh.
Christie, for example.
There's only one I can think of off the top of my head that I have played.
Like a noir style?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I
I'm trying to
love
think of
these
the name
old
of it.
Golden Age detective novels like the Christie, Freeman Wills Crofts, John Dixon Carr, and we go into Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammett for the more hard-boiled things. And there's not much of that around, it seems, so it'd be nice to see.
Yeah. I mean, when I first saw Burroughs, at first I thought that was what it was going to be because I saw like the block lettering, but that's not what it was.
I need to still play that. It looks really good. Everybody's like, Burroughs, you gotta read it, even if you don't play it.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be the next big thing. I think it's the next Echo. I'm serious.
Ooh.
I think.
Fun.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, but yeah. I would really like to see the furry Sherlock Holmes, type of deal. I think it'd be really cool. Dirk, what genre is untapped in the furry visual novel sphere?
Well, not to be biased or anything,
for the love of God.
it's gonna be pretty obvious.
The oceans are untapped.
The oceans, yeah, you gotta tuck into the oceans. No, it's like the other
Like an
obvious thing, the
avenue.
sports. I love seeing sports-based like novels and whatnot. Like we have we have like 2 already, where it's like tennis ace, extracurricular activities. It's like those are they're good in their own way, but they're more character focused. I've always wanted to see ones that are more like based on the actual maybe sporting itself. Like I know there are some sport furries out there, but yeah, maybe it's a smaller niche of it. But it'd be interesting for me to see like kind of the discovery of that, the mentality of like players going through that, especially in a queer sense of it, because there are like that is a very not really talked about subject of that, like maybe queer athletes in like a typically heteronormative space, and just kind of seeing them go through that. And with that, I also like seeing kind of the coming of age through then, not seeing just this character's the best at every single thing or whatever. It's nice to see a character that's maybe more in the middle of the road or isn't the notable famous whatever, feels more grounded. It's nice to get to know the people that are the everyday people, the people that are just living their lives and seeing kind of the little diamonds within their lives. And yeah, just seeing more of that, even if it's not super like you have to know everything about the sport. It's just good to see people in different avenues of that, because we do get a good amount of fantasy or sci-fi, which I do love. But I guess for me, from my origins of how I got into the fandom, that's just my personal preference of things.
Feel that? Fallenwolf. I like saying your name like that. Have you noticed?
Oh, yeah, I can tell.
Smash Bros. Announcer.
Fallenwolf enters the stage.
So for me, I'm trying to think. I feel like almost every genre has been explored. I'm gonna say sci-fi.
More? Okay.
Because I feel like the only thing I can think of off the top of my head is Ad Astra. I mean, but really beside Ad Astra, I would like to see more sci-fi adventurous. Well, adventure is pretty good in the furry fandom. I feel like there's a decent amount of adventure, but we don't really see a lot of hard science fiction stuff. So I wouldn't mind seeing more like science fiction furry stuff. But like with like I said, the focus being on the sci-fi, less so on the romance. Like, I mean, I know a lot of us love, a lot of us love Ad Astra, but I would consider that half and half, like half romance and half sci-fi.
Yeah.
And sometimes like I love a good romance, but I feel like I would like to see more visual novels focus on having like really good epic stories, perhaps with there's nothing wrong with having a romance, but perhaps with like more of a focus on the adventure and less focus on the romance.
I feel that.
I feel like there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like we have so many visual novels out there now that have a focus on romance that we, creators should not feel as afraid to do something that's not as focused on having some sort of romance or NSFW content in it.
Like, it would be nice to see like story first, romance second at times, as opposed to romance first.
I don't, like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, because sometimes, like, I know for me, sometimes I want a good romance. Sometimes I will play a VN and I'm like, I need a good romance. I need, but sometimes it's kind of disappointing because sometimes I really like will want to focus on something that is not romance, and it's kind of like, well, I have to deal with the romance. But I would say I definitely say sci-fi. I was gonna say also maybe fantasy, but like I said, I feel like a lot of VNs have started leaning towards fantasy. I know Far Beyond the World, has a pretty heavy fantasy vibe, and what else? There's quite a
Winds
few.
of Change.
Winds of Change. There you go. Winds of Change has fantasy. In case of emergency, yeah. So that's what I said. It's like I can't say fantasy because I think fantasy is doing pretty well. But I guess I would also go back to my first thing I brought up is I would like to see more stories that focus on these big epic adventures and a little, taking a little more time on the adventure and a little less romance.
Nice.
So I haven't read as a lot of VivianJadeMos, but do we have any VivianJadeMos that are like band stories? Because that could be a really good way to take advantage of the VN medium of being both visual and auditory. Because so
band, like
a story, no, a band, like the formation and following the rise of a band.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Like Battle of the Bands. Okay, nice.
I had recently played, it's labeled as a visual novel, but not really. It's a We Are OFK, and it's not furry, but I really liked that game, and it's just the formation of a band and artists trying to live in California, and I think furries could do that, seeing as how many very talented furry musicians are out there.
Yeah.
That's a very good idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Especially since, that's actually what ties into one of the later questions by CV4 referencing. It's kind of a self-indulgent question that they asked is they say, so you guys may have noticed that FVNs have been getting their own OSTs as of late. Who is your favorite composer in the FVN space, and what is your favorite song from the FVN space? And they say, side comment, I like that people have told me that if a VN has custom music, I usually appear somewhere in their XD. I can easily say that it's CV4 for me.
Crap, 1 second, let me go with my Spotify. The only like song and composer that I've actually, the only one I can think of is Mo, and who is this other person? They did one song for Echo, and I immediately went to their Lilybug. I immediately went to their Spotify and added a bunch of their music to my stuff because I love her tracks and got permission for her to use it in my streams. So that would be mine, is Lilybug. She did one song for Echo, and I immediately fell in love with her sound.
I'd probably have to pick two composers, CV4, apart from the fact that they did my channel music for me, but also, as Marshmallow Bears mentioned, Mo as well. I like a lot of Mo's music I've heard. It is kind of hard to pin down just one piece of music, because most of the time I have it low in the mix. I'm talking over all this music, which I'd like to take an opportunity to apologize to all the VN composers whose music I talk over all the time. But I think if I had to choose one, it would be the opening music for Archers.
Ooh.
That music you hear over the start, the little title sequence of Dev and Cam there. That's really nice. Actually, sometimes I'm in work and I do a lot of data entry stuff. One of the piece of music I play every so often is the whole Archers soundtrack of YouTube, just to have music in the background, and that works well, quite worryingly, with my data entry work. But yeah, definitely that Archers music, I'd say.
Very nice. And I, speaking of apologizing for inconveniences done to visual novel composers, I also would like to send a special apology of my own for the many, many years in which my audio balancing was absolute crap. I only very recently found out that OBS can do 2 audio tracks.
That is
So
fun.
I was just on one, and so it was just all over the place. Either the audio was too loud, too quiet. It was it was fucking garbage. So I'm only now doing it in post, where the audio is and be anywhere near heard. And I do want to give a notice to the opening theme to Glory Hounds. That was an absolutely perfect utilization of music, and all throughout their music was perfectly utilized, but especially that specific. I don't know who did it. I don't know a damn thing. I don't know if it was stock music or not, but whoever did it, that music was perfect.
I think it's Mo.
Is it Mo?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of.
Yeah, Mo did a lot of music for Glory Hounds, and that song is a certified banger.
Yeah, and it was perfect for that fucking for that intro and for that game in general. Fallenwolf.
Ooh. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna probably butcher the name, and I apologize. I'm gonna go. I believe his name is Anthemix.
Oh, that is Mo. Anthemix.
That's Mo.
Anthemix, yeah.
That is Mo. Oh, that is Mo. Okay. I really enjoy his stuff. I have a real soft spot for kind of electronic sounding music that's not like electronic music that's very atmospheric. And I know my favorite track I would probably have to say from is Arrival. That's from Interior.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy that track a lot because it really makes me. I think it helps. I think it's really perfect. I think just for where it takes place, I think it's usually like on the beach in Interior, and I think it it's so good. I really like most music a lot. I'm sorry, Synth4. I like your music too, but I really do enjoy most music a lot.
Dirk the Red Panda.
Uh-oh. I've been trying to find the name of this particular one. I obviously will have to go for Glory Hounds as one of the first ones I really love. Just overall great composition and mixture of music in it. I'm really trying to get the name of this one where it's like, help me if you can on like, I know the plot of it and like just the general things of it. It's just the name is slipping my tongue right now. It's the one that's like, it kind of takes place in like Norway or Finland. It's supposed to be more Scandinavian.
Norn Chorus?
Dawn Chorus, yes, thank you so much, lad. Dawn Chorus has a really good soundtrack and mixture of that. I have a friend who's also a fellow composition who works on my VN, also does stuff for Distant Travels, and yeah, he's a great composer too. I also have to shout him out for that. Love Distant Travels too, but if I really have to go for one that really also catches the atmosphere in a similar way where it perfectly suits the theme like Glory Hounds does for its own story, is just the atmosphere of Dawn Chorus. It's just very like fluffy, very just surreal, very peaceful, I guess you could say. I am not a musical expert on that. I'm not a connoisseur like with wines or whatever, where it's like it has the fruity scents or the bitter notes or whatever. I'm not going to be able to do that, but yeah, it's just very calming that I like about Dawn Chorus, and the writing is that way too, where you feel like you're in a very warm and cozy area. And so I think that one may be a little bit more out of left field, and yeah, want to give them a shout out for that. They are great. Definitely check them out. And they do have the soundtrack out, I think, too. Like I think it's released as a separate thing too. So if you want,
Terrific. Moving on to the next question here. So much for a 1 hour podcast. Editing this is going to be fun. Actually, I am looking forward to this because I'm enjoying doing this now, but I feel like I'm like I'm listening and I get to listen to it before anyone else does. That and every time I'm editing my own stuff, I'm like having to listen to my own voice, but since y'all are doing like the entirety of the talking, I get to listen to somebody else for a fucking change. That I guess
I'm not alone.
Right? How long did it take y'all to get over the majority of that feeling? Because I don't think if you're anything like me, you don't get over all of it. But like, how long did it take y'all to get over the feeling of I'm just listening to myself fucking talk?
That's my secret, Cap. I never have. I just dump the bomb.
What? Do you really? You don't? What?
A friend of mine recorded me absolutely going off in a stream one time, like nailing the part. And I haven't even downloaded the video yet because I don't want to hear my own voice.
Streamer's advantage.
So
You just do it, you move on. I guess for me, it's like it took me a while to get into it because I originally was like just thinking I'm doing this for fun. This is just me, but I was always really shy to listen back. It took me a good 2 years at least before I really felt like, yes, I'm doing this. I'm in a zone. And I think things were starting to take off around the time. Like once people were like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, glad I'm doing this series, or I'm looking forward to this update or whatever. They gave me the confidence of, yeah, I probably should look at this and see what am I doing right. And then just, work from there. Kind of like how some people may like look at something to help them train or look at their previous art or whatever their work is. Sports art, whatever it is. Sometimes I throw sports in as an example because of what I've come from.
Yeah.
But yeah, it still is like in the back of my head to hear it when I edit or put a timestamp in. I go, whoa, that's my voice. People watch this. But it's something that it sinks in. It's not something that I don't think for people, it doesn't hit you one day. I think it just seeps into you where you're like, okay, I'm fine with this. It's different things for different folks or different times.
Yeah, you feel that way too, Fallen?
Like for me, I think it's a little bit different, like getting used to your voice. I know for me, like I am somewhat comfortable with my voice, but also being a trans female, there is also a kind of like, I'm trying to think of a good word to describe it. There's kind of like this expectation. There you go. I couldn't think of the word. Sometimes there tends to be this expectation of how I know, at least for me, like I said, I can't speak for every trans woman, but like for me, there's like an expectation of how I want to sound. So I still kind of like I'm used to my voice, but there are times like I still kind of cringe when I re-listen to my voices, like my normal voice, not the voices. I'm fine with my voices, but like when I do like my personal voice, I still kind of struggle to hear it just because, like I said, I sometimes have expectations of how I want to sound.
I get that too.
So, and like I said, I know this is going to be different for me because obviously, like I said, I'm a trans female, compared to some other people. But like voice wise, for the most part, I enjoy my voices. There are times I want to improve on them, but my training's a lot better when it comes in terms of voices where I'm like, well, I can improve this. I know what I can work on compared to my normal speaking voice. And this is especially big for me because I work a job where I'm on the phone all the time. I'm on the phone all day. I cringe so much, like when I'm on the phone, because most people will be like, I'm very soft spoken and I talk, and I said, oh, well, I hope you have a wonderful day, and most people will be like, all right, you too, ma'am, and then you get that one person that says, all right, sir, you have a nice day, and you're just like, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
and it just like it screws you up. So
yeah, same. Get that all the fucking time. How about you, Blaidd? People think you're a guy?
Generally, yes.
How did it get? How do you feel adjusting to? Because, like you said, you weren't planning on doing this long term. You just figured you'd do this for a little bit. How long did it take for you to adjust to the whole recording yourself and then editing your own voice and narrating and all this other stuff?
I'm okay with it now and have been for a couple of years in small bursts. So if I just hear bits to myself, okay, I did that line wrong, I've edited that out, that's fine. But it's like when I do a premiere on the YouTube, I'll watch it so I can join in the chat and see what people are saying. I have the sound down. I'm not listening to myself. And earlier today, I recorded a short thing for one of my patrons. And I thought, okay, I'll do this. Sounds okay, bits when I'm editing it. I had to get my boyfriend in to listen to it because I can't listen to myself for 10 minutes or whatever it was. Oh. It'll drive me crazy. So I said, how this sounds? He said, okay. He said, fine. So, yeah, even now, it's 4 years maybe I've been doing the videos. I can't listen to myself for long. I won't be listening to this video when it goes out. As much as I'd love to hear the rest of you, I'd have to keep stopping and muting myself all the time. It's very annoying.
I feel that. I still have moments where when I'm editing or if I'm recording, if I'm doing a voice or whatever, if there is someone around, sometimes, it doesn't happen every time, but sometimes if there's someone around, I just can't fucking do it. It's too much. It comes and goes, but there's just some fucking times where it just gets to me. And I've been doing it, like I said, the first video I did was the first video in the furry sphere. It wasn't a visual novel. Like I said, Amorous is not a fucking furry visual novel. It's porn with a fucking plot. But before extracurricular activities and repeat, I did Amorous first. And that series is no longer online because fuck that and fuck anything that had to do with the creation of that. But when I first was making that, I was in a room by myself, had nothing to do with anyone around me, and then all of a sudden, like, my family started thinking different about me, people around me started thinking different about me, and I was like, oh my god, should I start thinking different about me too? And now it's hard to get that shit out of my head sometimes. It's weird when, honestly, like, you start playing a game where they start breaking down, like in the smoke room, you play Clifford's route, Cliff, they start breaking down the race relations of Native American fucking internment camps and the whole idea of miners and corporations in the turn of the 20th century and all this other shit. But no, then someone who doesn't understand it all is just like, oh, you're just narrating porn, oh, what the fuck? And it's like, oh, really? That's all it is? That's all the fuck it is? Jesus Christ. It gets annoying. Sure, y'all can agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, I've had a few times where I've got very emotional reading lines. It depends on. I know 4-letter word. I still keep it up, but it's still kind of like it shouldn't be. But I get embarrassed because I remember the first time I played 4-letter word, I actually broke down crying during a certain scene, because I really felt the character's pain, and I also very personally related to how the character is feeling, and I actually broke down crying while I was playing it.
Hey,
That and a Adastra. I remember I think there was 2 parts in Adastra that I started kind of crying.
that actually plays into one of the later questions. Not to diminish what you went through at
No,
all
no,
in any
no,
way, but
really not.
a question that was asked was about crying during narrating from Billy Bob Joe, asking, have you ever cried while reading/narrating? Have you ever cried from a furry visual novel thing/moment that wasn't designed to be a tearjerker? So first, have you ever cried during narrating or reading? And have you also ever done it, if you have, from something that wasn't intended to be? I don't know why I explained the question when it was pretty fucking clear what the hell it was about.
Well, more explanation helps too. Sometimes it's good to have more than less with that.
I think I know I have. Mel just said they have. I mean, is there anyone here that hasn't? I think is there.
Blaidd.
Your question.
Blaidd's like stern. He's like, no, I don't cry.
Never. I would never cry.
Cry.
Brave.
Blaidd, you cry?
Yeah, there's one particular scene in Adastra, about 2/3 of the way through. I'm pretty sure you can think of what I'm talking about in the amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
Very much into character, yeah. And I don't know if anyone else noticed when they watched it, but I could hear myself trying to narrate afterwards. I haven't got over acting as Amicus in that scene. I can hear it in my voice still. So yeah, that was a tough one. That got me quite emotional doing that one.
Yeah.
Dirk,
Yeah.
you cry?
Oh,
nothing
I have
wrong with
cried
crying,
a
for the
few
record.
times. Oh no, there isn't. It's hard
Yeah.
for me to think of a scene where I've cried in a scene where it's unintentional to cry or their character isn't supposed to cry. I can only think of a few that I've really like cried in where the characters are really breaking down emotionally. And the most recent one that happened actually was like this last week. The latest episode of Password was like really emotional tearjerker with like some of the character revealing and plot twist. There was a big situation that happened with our MC and just the things that he had to endure, and that just he was crying. Some of the other characters involved in the scene were crying, and I was genuinely in tears with that. Like, I think that was the one where I cried the hardest. And there were definitely some scenes in Adastra and Tennis and some of the other novels that I've cried into that I really felt emotionally, but the Password one was oof. I felt like it was like you get a good cry out and you're like, I feel all cried out from it, and that's what that scene did for me. I really wish I could explain one where it was unintentional or whatnot for the scene, but wrapped up with it where it's like there are times where it's like I wanted to cry, but just was more, at least I guess, kept solid to myself or cried on the inside of it. But yeah, sorry, that's it.
I haven't, but I haven't cried while I was narrating on stream. But I felt incredibly emotional during the final scene in Adastra, but I just have a complex relationship with my emotions, and that's just mental health stuff. So it's really hard to get me to cry with something narratively. So that's just a me thing.
I get you.
Oh,
Don't worry.
But yeah, it's definitely never like while I was narrating on stream. Probably did get close when I first read it, Dastra privately with my partner, though, because that ending scene always gets me.
Oh, that's a good one.
I will say there was one scene. I don't want to do any spoilers here because it was the most recent Arches build.
Uh-oh. I need to read that still.
Yeah,
Be prepared.
Yeah,
That's all I'll say.
I'll read it after this.
I'm going to be. Has it been announced? I don't want to spoil anything.
The public build has been announced. I think,
I'm not
right?
talking
Yeah, the
about
public
that.
build, I just
Marshmallow
downloaded.
Bears. I'm asking.
Oh,
Marshmallow.
I've talked about it. I've talked about it on stream.
Oh, okay.
I'm making the announcement thing as we speak. So
Okay.
it's been announced,
Oh, okay.
and I name dropped you. So
Oh, sweet. Well, there you go. Marshmallow Bears is going to be doing a stream of the latest Arches build, and I'm going to be there, which is awesome. I can't wait.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. And it's fucking sweet. And I also recorded it recently, and in amongst the many deeply emotional moments and the traumatic fuckery that goes on in that update, there's also one scene that I don't think was supposed to be an emotional breakpoint. There were several moments that could be seen as an emotional breakpoint, but there was one. I won't say what it is, but it involves. How can I phrase this without being spoilers? It involves a return of sorts, a return, and it's a very short moment. But when it happened, I fucking cried.
oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
It's something that if you've played the main game and you've played all the routes in the main Echo game, and then you play that all of Arches up to that point, that fuck. It just broke me. It broke my fucking emotional dam, right? I was not expecting it. I wasn't expecting it to affect me that way. And after everything that had happened in that build, I don't know why, but for some fucking reason, that just fucking, it just killed me. It really did.
Wow. Well, I have that to look forward to.
Yeah.
I don't think I cried, but I cheered.
Yeah.
Aw.
That video
Different
will,
reactions.
Yeah, that video will be coming out eventually on my channel. It's a while. I got to get through the Echo short stories. Whenever the fuck those get through. But getting back to the question, that was a question that was like on page fucking 4, so skipped ahead a bit. Here we go. This one's a little bit easier. This one came from a number of people. Apollo's Imagination, Nari TD, Astral Cipher, who wanted multiple answers, but we'll restrict it down to 5, and Maestro Wolfgon, and Inugami the Hound, who wanted most and least favorite in this, but we'll see how that goes. What is your personal favorite character from any of the furry visual novels you've read so far? Favorite character?
This ooh.
Fun.
Yes.
Have fun.
This is gonna be a toughie. Fallenwolf. We shall start with you.
Oh boy. All right, repeat the question. Gives me time.
All right, I'll repeat it very slowly. What is your personal favorite character from any visual novel that you've read thus far? I got accused of being very slow in my narration.
Oh, really?
Yes, in the comments,
Really?
one of the comments on the question video,
What?
which misgendered both of us, so their questions did not get included. I think it was they seemed to be confused more than any sort of malintent, but they just said that, oh, the voices are very good, but you're slow. So it's like, thanks, I think. But anyway, that's the question. What is your personal favorite character? It's the third rereading of the question. Plenty of time now. What is your personal favorite character from any visual novel, furry visual novel that you have read thus far? My fellow furry trans female cohort.
I actually like Asterion from Minotaur Hotel the most.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I love that. I love many things about that visual novel, but one of my favorite things is Asterion. Out of all the visual novels I played, feels like the most believable character. I think the writer or writers did an amazing job writing a character who has dealt with a lot of abuse and turmoil and a lot of both physical and mental abuse, and writing that in a very realistic way. Because there are a lot of times we read fairy visual novels and they don't tend, not always, but sometimes they don't tend to write mental, physical, the other bad one, the other really bad one, abuse completely realistically.
Yeah.
And I feel like they wrote Asterion very realistically. He's a character you really feel for. He's written very well that you really feel for him and the abuse he's dealt with, and you understand that he it's not just a get over it. It's not just kind of a get over it for him. It's going to take a lot of time and care, and you understand why he struggles to understand, people that care about him. So I would say Asterion. Asterion is my favorite character.
Nice.
If I really have to go off of just, like I've said before, just personal bias of like things I've really related to, I just felt like I really grew with Shoichi throughout my playthroughs of Tennis Ace, and just having the same relatability of being the person who's trying to be like the perfectionist, trying to get the good grades, trying to get to the good college, but also having that passion behind me for like sports where it's like, I wish I could be doing this, but my parents, my relatives, whoever it is, doesn't approve of it as much. They want me to go through the straight and narrow path. And Shoichi really has that like similar path through him. So I really relate to that. And not only did it feel like I want to like be there with him and like help him go through it, because it's like when I've read it, it's like he's obviously still in high school, about it senior year. For me being like a few years later, it's like I want to just assure him things are going to be fine. You're going to get through all this. But yeah, it's just something that I felt like I really personally connected, and it's great to see somebody write about that, and just the struggles of facing the expectations of what you want to be doing versus the reality of this might be what you this is what you should be doing with your life. This is what you should go through. This is what you should do. It's the safe option. Because there are too many times where you hear that, where it's like, you should do this. This is the easier paying thing. This is the thing you should do. Your passion is not, it's not viable or whatever. And yeah, I just hear a bunch of different things about that. So that's why he's my favorite character. Bit deep, but yeah.
I feel that. I feel it.
I've been thinking about it while everyone else has been talking, so I finally come up with an answer. I was listening to all of you as well, and good choices there, by the way, you two. So I have to give an honourable mention to Marcus from Ocean Avenue.
Stop playing my piano.
I really like him, especially the description. He doesn't have a mean bone in his body. Yeah, I like this guy. He's really nice.
I'll have to write one now.
Just slightly pipped to the post for a few reasons I'll go into as well. It's actually a Parker Stone from Afterclass, which we haven't really talked about at all yet.
Hey.
And he's into literature. I like to read a lot. I write a bit myself as well. But also, he is a teacher, and in my past lives, I have been a substitute teacher on occasion. It's kind of my fallback position when I'm trying to find a full-time job. So he goes on every so often about, am I boring you guys? I just feel like I'm boring. I'm not good at teaching. I understand that perfectly. I know I've had to stand up in front of a group of worst age range really is about 13 to 16. Very difficult to deal with that grade level there. And yeah, they don't know me, I don't know them, apart from I have a good idea from how old they are, what they're going to be like. And just trying to get their interest in something. And yeah, that's so hard. So I can really identify with Parker's worries about that. And he's a nice guy, he tries to be friends with students. He likes to be liked by them. He's got some good friends. He likes to have a good meal as well, which I can go for. And yeah, so I think out for him. Just the odd things. I relate to Parker very much with some of those things.
Very nice. Marshmallow Bears.
Oh, gosh. This is hard.
It is a hard one. And as with all of the favorite question, like the previous favorite question, of course, this is the favorite of the moment. It could change at any time.
My big problem is the one that comes to mind is from a game that's barely a visual novel, Night in the Woods. So it's either toss up between Greg from there or Flynn from Echo.
Flynn?
Yeah. Me and my partner Robin have had lots of talks about how we just think Flynn is just a really good character. He's not the best guy. He's kind of a dick. But like, there's a lot to him, and when he just hasn't had the best life or the best chance of like being open, but he does his best and he loves his friends in his own little way. He gave everything for Sydney and gave even though he wasn't equipped to it, he tried to take care of Jenna when Leo and Chase would just leave her high and dry because they were on the outs at the day. He's not built for that, but he would do it. And it's a tragedy that can't say what happens in his route, but his story is a tragedy because he can't give up the past. And then with Greg, when Greg talks about and opens up about how he has good days and bad days and how his emotions just fluctuate, and he doesn't know what it's going to be until it's already done. It's that hit me. He puts on he's manic in a way that I don't know. It's a lot, but yeah, those are my two favorite characters. Sorry, I'm having a hard time describing these, but yeah.
Well, you did a great job, and you made a really compelling case. I mean, when you first said Flynn, I was like, what, really? But then you described it, and I was like, no, that really, especially when you just said it's like he might not be a great guy, but like the characterization of him really makes sense. I can't speak to Greg because I haven't played Night in the Woods, but
it's so good.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's very good.
Feel out in the
I
cold
felt
on this one.
Sure. I mean, I felt the way with Flynn where it's like, yeah, the more you read about him, the more you attach to him. Because like the first time you're like, he's
mean. He's a dick.
Yeah,
he's an asshole.
He's mean. And then you're like, yeah, you read him, you're like,
yeah,
you
start
get
to
it.
Understand a bit.
Sorry to sidetrack for a bit.
Yeah, it's the opposite of. It's kind of like the opposite of Chase, because Chase had it easy growing up gay. Chase had it so easy growing up gay. Flynn didn't. He got bullied. He got picked on. Chase didn't get bullied and picked on because he was banging the quarterback. No one would pick on him.
If I had to pick one, it was tough, and I had to think on it a lot. But if I had to pick one right now, the one that comes to mind the most is Coach Harold Grifter from Extracurricular Activities. And actually, for a lot of the reasons, a lot of the reasons that Blaidd mentioned for Mr. Stone there, the teacher archetype, but also a lot of the emotional stuff that was mentioned about Greg is the emotional turbulence. He's got a lot of the but this, instead of mania, it's depression. The emotional struggles that you get to that you witness throughout his route. I related a lot to that. He's someone who could not continue with his passion of tennis, so he went into coaching, and he's an English teacher. He's got a lot of very relatable passions, but through a lot of very unfortunate things that went through on his life, he's fallen into a hell of a rough time. And you just throughout his route, you just kept really just pulling for him, and you just want him to be fucking happy, and it's just, oh god damn it. And there are some issues in his route that I wish were handled differently, but overall, when I was just looking in my head of just for characters that I just really cared about and wanted the best for, and that was one of the characters that I just really care for. Probably one of the most. Here's one. I mentioned a certain issue on a recent episode of the Echo short stories, and it reflects in this question from Inugami the Hound. Do you have any solutions to help fix some of the bad tropes for mostly the female characters in furry visual novel games? Because
Oh God, yes. Oh, this is I'm so happy to get into this one.
yes,
Oh my
Because-
gosh.
I brought it up, and
Ooh.
in an episode, it was the short story where it was I don't know if everyone's played the short stories for Echo, but it was where they played out the scene in Echo where they prank they prank Leo,
yeah.
and Leo breaks Chase's phone,
Mhm.
and then Chase says that he's going to Pueblo because it was Jenna and Chase pranking Leo, but Jenna just comes across as the most unlikable, unsympathetic, cannot read the fucking room kind of.
I'm so glad that I'm so glad
Yeah.
that somebody else said it.
Yeah. And this also was a short story that came after another short story where it was heavily hinted that she was deliberately going to try to take Chase away from Leo in
Wow.
the same story where she was making jokes at the expense of the fact that Chase and Leo were having relationship issues, which he was clearly uncomfortable about. And I'm like, you don't have to write her like that. You don't have to write the only female in the main cast like that. And then you look at other visual novels where you get either almost no involvement in the plot, no explanation for why they're this stoic, nice mother character, or their characteristics are bitch, and that's about it. So, passing this off or down the line, how would each person fix, this is the question, how would each person fix some of the bad writing or characterizations for certain that's a different question. Some solutions to fix some of the bad tropes for mostly female characters in furry VN games. Fallenwolf, start with you.
Oh wow, you're gonna start with me? Okay, I thought you were gonna save me for last. Okay, I'm ready though.
Well, if you want to go last, I can start with someone else. If you want,
I kind of want to hear everybody's opinion because they might. I'm just
Okay.
curious.
Blaidd Llwyd, let's start with you.
Of course, you and Fallen have a much better perspective on this than I do. So I'm definitely interested to hear from Fallen myself as to what she thinks. I think one thing to be aware of is a kind of a background. Don't just, okay, we need a character with this, and this goes for any character, particularly in this situation. Why is someone like this? Don't just, like you mentioned, don't just have them, okay, they're this very nice person, fine. Well, we could, even if we don't hear too much, it's a bit of a background. Think about it when you're writing. Try and figure out, okay, where do they come from? What their influence is? Is this how they are? Do they act like this particular way? And just trying to think of, okay, think for the women you know in your own personal life, because we all know a lot of them, some more than others. Trying to think of what they are like as characters. Try to imagine a character like them and get away from the tropes. Just think of them, for lack of a better term, an ordinary person. And just try and work something with that. It is something I have to be aware of because I'm doing some writing on something myself. And yeah, I'm aware that I don't always write the best female characters myself. So I am trying to work on that. And I think something like that helps. Try to think, yeah, who do I know? Not say, okay, this person is this person in my real life. That never works well. Just think of some types of people and that kind of thing. Just bring some aspects of them in. Maybe that might help with the tropes. I don't know, but it's the first thing I would suggest anyway.
I agree. Character motivation's at the heart of any kind of characters to do. Why and what do they want? Why are they doing any sort of thing?
I'm not a writer myself,
But I think one thing that might help, get more input or get in the writing room just more female writers. I reach out to some people and have them put their input, and I don't know. I'm not really a writer, and oh gosh, I'll never claim to be. So
I understand the concept, though. Diversification of the writing atmosphere.
if you have it all as a bros club, you're never really gonna have input from the female point of view.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Sorry.
I'm trying to keep that in mind because it relates to what I want to say, because I remember that, so I'm gonna try to remember that.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Oh, that's some good.
Dirk the Red Panda, what are your good points?
Oh boy, are they good? Who knows?
Fucking better be.
No, there's no knife being held next to me. No,
you have a female in Ocean Avenue, and I thought she was pretty well done.
that's also something I worry about sometimes. Where it's like, am I writing this right? But I guess to kind of start off and elaborate, Blaidd and Marshmallow both had really good inputs to bounce off of, because it's really important to give them like a background, a reason why they're there. Not that they're just, here's reason. They're just here to be this, an asshole, a bitch, or just the stoic whoever. Like that's very one-dimensional. They obviously need the dimensionality, but also, you also need to have women in the room to help show how this is how women can be more normally, or this is a more realistic depiction of a woman. Kind of like when you write a character based off of yourself, or talk to another person to help write maybe somebody that isn't much like you from a different background, race, culture, etc. But to go on to my own unique points, I'd say it's like, I think the problem is, when you're talking about furry visual novels, it's definitely a thing that's notable in a gay furry visual novel scene. It seems like the trope of that is more so being written in a sense where the romantic plot is male loving male, and so as a result of that, women are more pushed to the side of that. They're more of the kind of background character of that. They're more usually a side character, even if they're in the main cast. And so let me just get wrapped back to it, because I think I kind of lost some of it when I mentioned some of the other points. But I would say the important thing of writing a character is just making sure when you write them, just make sure that they are, a person of them. Think about that, maybe in a sense, even though they may be a different gender, sex, etc. than you, it's like you want to write them as if they are somebody that you would see in real life, somebody that is going to be around you. Think of them as a person, and would they hang out with you? What would they do? What would be their favorite thing to do? Hobbies, kind of in a way that you'd write any other guy. Even if you're not going to date them or do anything beyond with them, it's important that, in a sense, either they're a friend or they're somebody else's friend. Just making sure they're very real. They're somebody that is, very, at least has an interestingness to them, a dimensionality. I guess, that's how I kind of write Selma in Ocean Avenue, is that they have their hobbies, they have their interests, even if they, transcend just being gender exclusive or whatnot. It's important to see that there's a reason why this character is friends with these guys, and this is why maybe she's doing stuff with her own women friends and whatnot too. It's just, I guess it's the same way you develop any other guy or any other character. It's you want to think of people in the same way as no matter what gender, it's you gotta also, in a sense, make them feel real. Sorry if I really looped around in circles on that one.
No, you're absolutely right. I don't remember who said it, but I think it was a writer that said, how do you write full, well-rounded characters for females? And I was like, well, I write full, well-rounded characters, and that's it. I don't think about
exactly
whether they're female or not. And you also briefly touched on something that was it happens a lot in stories that are so focused on male/male love stories, and then women get pushed aside. or used for specific roles in the stories and not thought of as characters. Like, and sometimes their women are thought of as like almost antagonists because they're seen as like the opposition.
That are props in a sense where it's
Well,
just
that-
like they're just there to
Yeah,
be there.
and that even goes as far back as that goes as far back as like fairy tales. It was always like evil stepmothers.
Yeah, it
Mm.
there is, and I'm not specifically saying for any specific story here, but there is an unfortunate trend in some in a thin layer cast through the genre of male/male stories in some sects, sects, of
Bells.
viewing the female involvement in a misogynistic manner, where they're seen as unnecessary or as antagonists or as tools, but not as characters, not as useful. You'll see them prop up as means to an end, or as plot devices, or as villains for an arc, but that's about it. There'll be one note, there'll be the crazy one, or there'll be the one who shows up for a line, and it's not really been addressed for I don't know where else, but I'm not saying if I've not seen it, then that doesn't mean it hasn't been, but I've not seen it addressed in this sphere. But quite frankly, I'm sick of it. There are a lot of games that I've played, games that I've viewed, where the only female character I see is just the bratty bitch, or the mom who inexplicably loves everyone and is tolerant of everything, and also they're never going to show up anywhere that is important to the plot.
It's like that bratty type is like kind of the I can keep up with the guys trope.
Yeah,
It's like they gotta be there to be just like the guys, rather than she has her own personality beyond doing stuff with guys.
Yeah.
She can offer her own unique input, but still has relations with the friends.
And I don't think highly of limiting critique down to a simple stereotype, but it genuinely seems like they're writing from a perspective of never having actually met or had a genuine conversation with a real female before. Like, that is a very harsh stereotype, and I don't mean it genuinely, but it's what it sounds like. It's what it feels like, because these are all stereotypes from like TV or media, or from stereotypes that exist in one's mind. Like, do you feel like that's all that women do? Because that's all that you're writing. Like, from game to game, there are exceptions. There are huge exceptions. Like you said, in Ocean's Avenue, your game, there's characters with their own hobbies, their own motivations, their own thing. And there are other games that do have exceptions, but it's getting old. Anyway, I've put it off long enough. We built it up. Here we go. Fallenwolf. Let's get your feedback. How do you fix it?
So I one of the biggest things, I mean, I think a lot of you explained it pretty well, is you need to make them like characters. And one of the biggest I know struggles I've had, and it kind of makes me sad, is I've seen a lot, especially lately, a lot of furry visual novels that have female characters and they're a stereotype, and it's and I don't always think it's purposeful. Like, I don't think that they're purposely trying to make a female character that's like a stereotype, or trying to make a female character that's like hurtful. But it's always one of it. Most of the time, they're either an ice queen or they're a motherly type. There's never an in between. It's not all the time, but there's a lot of times where I feel like it's one of two tropes. One of those two tropes, and I feel like for the biggest thing, like we said earlier, like Dirk said, you did, Vivian, is you have to make them like characters. And I wanted to add, because Marshmallow mentioned something, I'm going to add on to it. I don't like it because I have brought this up with with a few other furry VN creators in certain servers. I was like, I really wish there was more female characters, more better female representation in furry visual novels. And I had a few people say, well, they're writing it for themselves. That the creators are writing it for themselves, and that they either don't know how to write proper female characters, or that they just don't want to have female characters in their story.
The creators said that?
And
the creators said that they don't want female characters?
There's been a I mean, not even just the creators. I mean, I know fans. I remember there was a big debacle with Morinatsu. People were upset because they added female characters in the revised one that's being worked on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
there was people that were upset that they were adding more female characters in it.
They add a comma in that game and people get pissed.
yeah.
So
I feel so bad for the developers of Morinatsu Revisited.
So anyway, going to the question, you have to make them like characters. I always use this character just because they're the easiest character to think of that everybody recognizes. I like looking at Zuko from Avatar, because that is a character that goes through an immense amount of growth, and you can have, even if you have a character that starts off, maybe not the best, female or otherwise, have them grow. People really love to see characters grow and develop like real people. I mean, that's, real life. People grow and develop. They're not always the same. And I think like another big thing is you can't just look at them as female. You have to be, willing to take feedback. Sometimes too, I think some, in all honesty, I think some furry visual novel creators are afraid to ask females for their advice. To ask like, what do you think of this? Or, hey, what can I do to improve this character, or whatever. Or just give an example. Sometimes I do think I think sometimes people are afraid to ask, and my thought is always, the best example I could say is I have a very close friend that's been really nice. They're a recent friend. They know that I'm trans, and they were afraid to ask me questions because they didn't want to offend me. And my answer was like, I'm not going to be offended as long as I know that you are trying to learn. As long as I know that you are trying to genuinely learn, I'm not going to take offense to it. And I feel like that's the same thing with VN creators have to think of when they're asking for input from other fellow females. You have to be willing to ask, and you have to, make it known that you are not trying to offend anybody, not trying to offend somebody. You are trying to learn. So the biggest thing, treat them like characters. Don't treat them like stereotypes, because I think that's a big thing, and it's a predominant thing I see in furry VNs, and frankly, it's kind of sad, because I know me as a furry VN lover, I enjoy reading furry VNs, and that's kind of disheartening to get to these VNs and enjoy them, and then you see the female character like, oh, it's another, you're like, oh, it's another ice queen, or oh, it's another cliche mother type that loves everybody and is only there to defuse tension between characters and do nothing else.
Yeah, well put.
Like I said, treat them like characters. I think the biggest thing you got to remember, treat them like characters. You don't, and be willing to ask questions. Like, I know I've told people, like, if you generally want to add a female in your VN and you're unsure, I'm always willing to help people. Like, if people come to me, like, I'll tell them, say, hey, I think you could do this with this character. Hey, I think you could do this with this character. Or, hey, I think this might be a little bit hurtful. Maybe you could change that a little bit. So that's basically it. I think people need to be more willing to add change. And I also think VN creators need to understand that just because you add a female character into a gay furry visual novel does not mean it's automatically not a gay furry visual novel. I think that's another big thing that we have an issue with.
And also,
I think there's a lot of people who are like, oh, if I add a female though, then it's not gay. And it's like, you can still have a gay furry visual novel, just Just add a female. It doesn't mean people are not everyone's going to think if you had a female, it's like, oh, they're a romance option. They can just be a side character. There are such things in stories called side characters.
Yeah. Even characters in the main cast where it's like, not everybody's going to be a dating option. It's like, I know there's obviously where people are like, oh, I wish this was a dateable character, but yeah, you know, if people do think that, it's just a very narrow-minded thing. I don't know who it is, if anybody is that way, if that's just a straw man, but at the same time, it's like, you don't want to add a female character to just be like, ooh, I have a ribbon now. I added a female character. Look at me.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's why
diversity check. That's another topic.
What Vivian went back to too. Don't make them a damn stereotype. Which means to say you can. Oh, that was it. And also the other thing is, just because you make a character the complete opposite of what a stereotype is, doesn't mean they're not still a stereotype. Like, just because I know that sounds so weird. I wish I could word it better. But by that I mean, like, just because you're like, oh, I'll add a female, but she's super strong and she's well toned and she's always working out and she's always hanging out with the boys. That's like, that kind of way. That's still a stereotype. Because sometimes I think people try to go like too hard on not being a stereotype, and they still end up having another stereotype. That's another thing you have to be real careful about too.
Yeah, it's like there's no such thing as an anti-stereotype.
Exactly.
Well, you can fill in the blanks of what I'm trying to imply too.
Yeah,
you have to be real careful with that too.
All right, well, we're nearing 3 hours, folks.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah, didn't expect this to fucking happen, and we're nowhere near getting through all the questions that we had planned. But
I have to stop.
yeah, I think we have time for one more, and we've already discussed coming back together at a future point to address the rest of the questions and discussing some other stuff possibly as well. So if it's all right with y'all, can we do one more question and then wrap it up for today?
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All righty. This question comes from a few people: Apollo's Imagination, Walt Hitchcock, and Chris Morales. What visual novels do you hope to read in the future, or what visual novels are you most excited for the next update in the story?
Oh.
It was kind of a two-parter. What ones are you looking forward to? And especially, I like the second part, the next update, because there are some games I'm looking forward to playing, but there are some games that haven't been updated in a while. Like, I'm looking forward to the next update of a few games, but specifically, Repeat hasn't been updated in a while, and the creator Shirokoi has been going through and updating a lot of the art and rewriting a whole bunch of stuff. They've been toiling a lot in between updates of Temptation's Ballad, and when they put out a new build, it's going to be like completely fucking new. Well, not completely, but they're going to be having like a whole new launch. I don't want to build it up too much. They're redoing a bunch of shit. So I'm really looking forward to the next update for that, but we have no fucking clue when that's gonna fucking happen. But in terms of what I'm looking forward to reading in the future, in terms of visual novels, I have been really looking forward to when I get through a number of the updates and can get on top of them again. I want to sink my teeth further into Liar, because I've only done one update. I've only done not one update. I've only done one episode, and I was really impressed. But I haven't been able to get on top of the updates for all the other games, so I haven't been able to get back to it. And people keep telling me, get back to it. And also passwords people have been doing, but it seems so fucking complicated to get back into that one. Like all the little hints and all the routes have different fucking things. Someone told me you have to fail to get back into it to do it right. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I have no
Some
fucking
of the earlier updates.
I have no fucking clue what that means. I don't know what do you mean I have to fail to win? I don't get it. That sounds like mumbo jumbo. So I'm most excited for the update of Repeat, but I'm most excited to get into Liar whenever the hell I'm able to do that. But let's start. Dirk the Red Panda.
Oof. Formality. So the one that I am looking forward to playing the most and getting into is Remember the Flowers. It's like that and Burrows both are ones that I'm like, if I have the time to put on stream or even just read on my own time offline, Remember the Flowers and Burrows both seem like very interesting premises and in their own different ways. It's like they would both be fun to just like figure out what would the characters sound like to me, but also see what's the hype about. I'm really just curious to do that. Like, especially Remember the Flowers. I think that would be one I'd maybe try on my channel if I can get to that first. Like, that'd be number one in terms of on the wait list. So yeah, maybe I'd make that a series or something that people can join me for. I've been playing around with the idea of like maybe I could invite people to do multiple voices on it or whatever. I see Marsh do that with like some of his readings, and I'm like, that'd be a cool idea. Yeah, the one that I would look forward to the next update, it's gotta be Tennis Ace. I've just been looking forward to like what's gonna happen in the finals. What's gonna happen when Yuichi or Nico, wherever your MC is called, is gonna play Tanabe? Like, how are they gonna clash again? Like, they have so much of a background with each other, and just they're falling out of the past. You get all this like story development you've been waiting for like 30 plus days, and it's like, what's gonna happen now? Like, I'm not sure if it's gonna be the next update, but it is like the next update for each route accordingly. Like during like day whatever it is before the finals, and then that's gonna be the next day.
Do we have any clue as to how long the routes are supposed to be? Because like EA is 35 days and that's it. But like with Tennis Ace, I have no idea.
I thought it was gonna be 35, and it's just been going and going. I would probably ask Basket again. Like, I would try to ask myself.
And now Haruki's getting a fucking route, and I'm just like, no!
Yeah.
No,
Everybody's like, yes!
Too much Tennis Ace. I don't want it. No, it's too much.
Well, when you're a Tennis Ace fan like me, it's like, the more the merrier. Don't know how I'm going to play all of it. More for me. Nom, 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 nom.
And Interior, obviously, I'm excited for. I like Adastra. I like Interior. I love Interior. So I'm very excited for Interior. Again, this is another one. I feel so bad because like all the VNs I'm naming off, like visual novels I'm naming off, people are going to be like, I don't know what that is. Changeling Tale is a recent one I've been playing. I like it enough that I'm a patron. I'm excited for that. It is extremely well written. It's very well written. I think it is probably one of the best. I would put up there with Minotaur Hotel as one of the best written furry visual novels I've ever read. The writing is very well done. The romances are built up very believably. It's not like it's the next day. These two guys are gonna, guys, girls, whatever, are gonna, do some not safe for work stuff the next day after they meet. Like, they really build it. Like, it's over a period of days and weeks that they get to know each other and learn stuff and slowly develop feelings. It feels organic. They do a very good job of organic romance development. And just in general, like I said, they're very, very good at describing the scenery. Like, again, like Minotaur does really good at describing the scenery. So I'm excited for Changeling Tale. Third one, and Repeat.
Nice.
Repeat's a big one. I am very excited to see Repeat. I never finished it just because when it ended, I was like, no, because I'm going to finish it and then be upset because it's not being worked on. So I'm very excited to see Repeat come back.
Nice.
I have a few for this, actually. For ones that I'm looking forward to read, there's a really short one called Lookouts that I've been told about that is about trans-masked cowboys, and I'm looking forward to reading that one. There's one that I've been seeing a lot called Where the Demons Lurk. That one.
Oh, I've been hearing good things about that one.
Oh, yeah.
That one looks really good, and I can't wait to dive into that. And then for updates, Dawntide and Arches. Dawntide is really good, and I think there's something really special there. And it's becoming one of my favorites just from the first update. And so I can't wait for the second update on that one.
And then arches. I just like arches. I can't wait to see where this wacky story goes.
As far as updates go, it's definitely a polar night. We've had one build so far. I'm very interested in seeing where we go from there. So I don't know when that's happening. I'm going to have to wait for a while. And I've done one episode of Burrows so far, and I'm a little further ahead in my own reading on that. But I definitely want to get back into that and see where we're going. I have some thoughts about maybe what's going on, just from the little bit I've read, but I'd like to go further and definitely find out if I'm right or not, or just see what else is going on. It's a very interesting VN, definitely. And also Arches. I really want to know what happens next in Arches.
Mhm.
Oh, man. Oh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting what is to come, indeed. Well, thank you all very much for being here. This has been a really fun time, and knowing that we're going to get to do this again whenever the hell our schedules will align.
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy that you all were able to be here with me today, and that you all were here and were so willing and eager to participate in this. And it really means a lot that y'all came here to do this. It warms my heart. It really does. So thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, no problem.
Of course.
Yeah,
Honored
it's
to
been
be
fun.
here.
Yeah, we're really happy to spend the time.
All 3 hours of it. Good Lord.
No, that's just a
But-
typical work day for me.
Yeesh.
And thank you, of course, to everyone who sent in their comments. And I'm sorry if we didn't get to your comment yet, or maybe at all. It might have gotten cut. I'm sorry. Got way more than I expected to. And Lord knows, now that we're doing this in parts, we might get more. So if we get
Are you going to
comments-
open again for more?
Well, we're probably gonna get comments on this episode. So if we get comments on this one, probably add it to the sheet of questions. So just, who knows? Maybe we'll just get so many questions this will never fucking end.
It becomes its own series.
Yeah, it'll be the narrator roundtable, its own mini series of following the plot. Oh, jeez. The most niche fucking podcast ever.
Yep.
And thank you, of course, always to those who have spent the time to watch and listen to this podcast, who have given your time to us today. It means the world to us to devote your time to listening to us ramble on about what we enjoy doing, the time of reading and editing, whoever of us does, the streaming, to devote to the characters, to the craft of the voices and telling the stories. We all do it because we enjoy it and because we want to give the good times to you all. We really appreciate you all sharing that time with us today and all the other times that you have in the past, in the future to come. So thank you all very much for being here today, and hope you all have a very nice day. I want to hear all your outros now. You did your intros. I want to hear your outros. It's going to be awkward because we're doing it one at a time. Give me your outros. Going down the line. Dirk. We did it in alphabetical, didn't we? Alphabetical according to your Discord names.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Give me
So it
your
is.
outros,
Okay.
man.
All right. So, as always, I appreciate you all coming. Thank you all so much for watching. And remember, good vibes bring good times. Take care, folks.
Next.
I was waiting to see who's going next. Jeez.
It ends there.
All right. I'll go.
F is after F is after D.
And once again, guys, thank you so much for for watching this video. Apologies for being so long. I think we really got into that's what happens when you have podcasts. I guess you get off track. But thanks, guys, so much for stopping by. Once again, if you enjoyed this, please follow Vivian. She is a amazing, fantastic woman. She has a great voice actress, and she has some great ideas. So please follow her. Please don't forget to follow her.
Oh, thank you. Is that your outro or is that your plug?
And no, I was gonna give you credit. But anyway, this has been Fallenwolf. And I'll see you guys next time.
Well, I'm a streamer, so it's a little different. So, if you guys have the emotes, drop a big old camp raid into Vivian's chat, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Works.
It works. I think it's fine.
Well, I could just do my Archer's outro and say absolutely nothing. But since I tend to talk at the end of most videos, well, thanks for coming along. Hope you enjoyed that. It's been a lot of fun here. And definitely subscribe to all these people, go and follow and all that kind of fun stuff. They are well worth listening to, apart from me, but that's only my opinion.
Oh, stop.
But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Thank you all very much for watching. Links, as always, in the description down below to everyone who has been here. Follow them all, subscribe them all. They are all wonderful people. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a very nice day. I have been the trained unprofessional Vivian Jade. Have a nice night, y'all.